Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi out here Saturday morning, and we are doing a Share the Love Club for Sando Mamukelashvili. I promised I would do this now that Sandro has left our team after 1 year with us to show love to him for his 1 year on our team and how he's going to be a one-hit wonder for us, like Bismack Biyombo in the past and Danny Green. Yeah. 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 Excuse me a second. Yeah, I was so happy to have Sandro on the team this past year. He's amazing. But teams change over the summer. And we've got to say goodbye to him. He's now a Laker. Yeah. In some ways he's kind of replacing LeBron, right? It's like he's the new LeBron. He's the Georgian LeBron for the Lakers at this point. Yeah. You guys know that Sandro has a YouTube channel. He started it this summer just after he left our team. There's not a whole lot of Raptors footage in there. But there is a little bit. He's got like 4 videos already. So yeah, he showed his stuff about his Toronto season last year. He has 1 video about that, but yeah, his last video just came out 3 days ago, and it's him training in New Jersey at Seton Hall and kind of going through his summer and getting ready, because that's what he said when he left Toronto was, I'm going to go back home to Georgia, spend time with family and eat Georgian food, and then come back to the States, and I'll be in Jersey waiting to figure out my free agency and where I'm going to land. Well, he's landed in LA. They're a part of the Lakers now, Sandro and his crew. So yeah, Mercedes, Alessandro, his family, they're going to LA, and he's going to be a Laker. Yeah, he seems pretty happy about it. It seems like Lakers fans are taking to him already and saying, "You're our guy, Sandro. Yay, Sandro." And that's good. That's good. I'm glad that he's got a fan base that always already appreciates him and ready to root for him. I ain't got no problem with Sandro Mamukelashvili. He's a person that blossomed in Toronto, and in some ways, he's another development story that's a success story for the Raptors, because we took a guy who was, borderline rotation, not even rotation, the guy who'd been sitting at the end of the bench in a lot of games for the Spurs and the Milwaukee Bucks before, and made him a regular every game rotation player, and went from getting $2 million a year to getting like $12 million a year. So really, really happy for Sandro. That's life-changing money. On all the discussions I had with Alessandro this past season about this moment, I knew this was going to happen. And I told him, I said it to him. I said, Alessandro, if Sandro takes the money and he goes to another team, I totally understand. In some ways, I can already tell that the Raptors will not have the space to re-sign him for the next year. And that even though it's sentimental and Raptors fans would love to have him back, trust me, we understood that it was very, very likely this would happen. I was talking to Alessandro about this last November. Last November, guys, like just a month or 2 into the season, I knew Sandro was blowing up. I knew that he was command more money next summer, and he would opt out in his player option, and he would test the market. And there was nothing wrong with that. Now, Alessandro, you say to me, no, he loves it here. He's going to want to stay. And I was like, man, it's a business. I get it, man. It's cool. I get it. I know a lot of y'all were like, I want to keep Sandro. Can we figure out the money, Bobby, to keep Sandro Raptor for this year coming up? We all very much would have loved that. If it could have worked, it would have worked. But the money is tied up in different places, and there's nothing wrong with that. Every team's a different jigsaw puzzle with different pieces that have to fit together. And, well, the Lakers had some changes to their team this summer, and, well, they could afford to sign Sandro at more money. And, we couldn't have matched the money that they're paying them. This is Bismack Biyombo all over again, guys. This is exactly what happened with Bismack. Bismack came here for 1 year. We got to the Eastern Conference Finals. Bismack looked amazing, and Bismack got paid. Well, Sandro got paid, and I'm not mad at him for it. I think that Sandro is such an endearing personality and hard worker and all kinds of good qualities that he instantly was a fan favorite and everybody fell in love with him. They just love to see how he got after it. They love to see a surprise three all of a sudden from Mamukelashvili. They love to see him run the court hard and finish fast breaks and very uh, good ways for a big guy. Honestly, he's one of the best big guys at running the break in the whole league. He really is. So it's just how it is. It's NBA. And this is part of the job for the GM. In some ways, Bobby had this plan. He said, we could get Mamukelashvili this year for really cheap, and I'll bet you he'll be a huge value this year. Okay, Bobby, let's get him. All right. And well, you increase his value, they make him a higher price tag, and well, they price themselves out of it. It's just how it works. The NBA is a business for the owners, it's a business for Adam Silver and the league, it's a business for the players. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. So, on the Share the Love Club, we like to share things that we love about the subject of the show. And well, today's our day to give admiration, respect, love, and compliments to Sandro Mamukelashvili. It's not Share the Hate Club. Nobody coming in here talking trash about Sandro, because there was a little bit of that the last time we did a Share the Love Club with Brandon Ingram. Because, look, these guys deserve it. They came in, they played exemplary for our team, and well, they're departing to other places. We got to show them the respect on the way out. And we will do a Jonathan Mobo Share the Love Club before the end of the summer also, guys, just so you know. But Sandro's getting his turn today. That's right, Sandro. That's right. All right, let's see what y'all are saying in the chat. Thank you for coming into the chat today. Trevor J., good morning. His words of wisdom: you don't become unstoppable by avoiding bad days. You become unstoppable by proving to yourself that that hard can't stop you. Every time you choose discipline over excuses, you're building a version of yourself that doesn't quit. Yeah. Yeah, discipline. Discipline's important. It's good to have a daily routine. It's good to have a kind of beats in your day that you hit every time, because it's stable. And it's also kind of anticipated, and people know they can count on you. And well, in some ways, this show, it's not always easy to get up every morning and do it. In fact, this morning I got up late. That's why I started right at 9:30, and I was still eating my breakfast when I started the show just now. Well, I got to do it because I pledged I'd do it, and I'm doing it. So in some ways, that takes discipline, getting up every morning. Because I'll tell you the truth, when I was a younger man in my 20s and 30s, I would sleep past noon almost every day. Yeah, I was a vampire. I really was. I was a night person. I was a person that worked in the bars in downtown Toronto, and I would be up till 6 a.m. on a lot of nights. And that was my regular lifestyle. In the winter, I literally was a vampire. I would not see the light of day. I would be literally sleeping when there were daylight hours during winter, and I would be awake only when it was night. It was crazy. It was absolutely an unhealthy lifestyle for a lot of different reasons. But, that was me at that time. And it was very common for me to sleep till 3:30, 4 p.m. in the afternoon at that time. Yeah. Yeah. So me having the discipline to get up and do a show at 9:30 a.m. every single day for the last 5 years shows that I haven't slept in since 9:30. I mean, there have been a couple of days that I have slept past and done the show a little later on a day where there was afternoon stream. But for the most part, I have not slept in for 5 years past 9 o'clock. And it's crazy. And I feel like that's a huge accomplishment for myself, considering the earlier part of my life when I was an adult in my 20s and 30s and living that lifestyle I just described. So yeah, discipline to get up, to take the call from Adriana yelling at you, get up, you got to do the Raptor Freak show. But she does that. She did that this morning too. She called me and woke me up and said, you got to get up because you got to do the show. So I appreciate her for being part of that discipline. But it's true. I was a vampire. I very much was a vampire back then. And yeah, I was still drinking at that time too. So you just add in the whole very toxicness of an alcoholic, not seeing the sun ever and working in that bar life. Yeah. Yeah. And I still smoked cigarettes back then too. Whoa, man, was I unhealthy back then. Blessings to the Jones family and all the Raptor Freak families. Don't quit. Well, quit cigarettes and maybe drinking your face off. That's what I had to learn. Yeah, and stop coming home through the park from the bar at 6 a.m. and the people are already out in the park doing Tai Chi, and you're stumbling around because you're still drunk, trying to get home from your bar job. So many mornings of that. Seriously, walking through a park in downtown Toronto, and there's a bunch of old people out there doing Tai Chi already, and I haven't gone to sleep yet, and I'm walking through them to go to my house to go crash. Those were the days, I'll tell you. Queen Street West. That was my place where I was a lot. Yeah. Yeah, that's where I worked. Trevor J saying this WNBA needs to bring All Star to Canada so we can show how it's done. Very poor attendance last night. Yeah, it was I don't know if it was poor attendance, but the activities in Chicago seem like they're going pretty good. Let's talk All Star real quick. WNBA All Star. We've seen the All Stars practicing yesterday at the Barack Obama Presidential Library, where they have a home basketball court in the library. I had heard about this, and they let the WNBA All Stars come down there and shoot around and practice yesterday during the day. And guess who's there? The guy who's named after the presidential library, Mr. Barack Obama, President Barack Obama. And he comes in and he meets everybody, and Marina's just overjoyed. She talks to him, and apparently Barack came up to her and said, congratulations on your 53 points, Marina. And she's like, what? Barack Obama knows who I am? What? It's just like Scotty meeting Barack at the All-Star weekend this year. And it's like, yeah. She's like, you're doing great things up there in Toronto. Keep going. What? He's watching us? Oh my gosh. It's like what Marina said afterwards. She said, Barack Obama's watching me and he knows what I've been doing. Oh my gosh. I mean, that's kind of flattering. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. It's like, wow, very cool. Yeah, Marina seemed like she's having fun. Listen, she's her own taste of fun. In some ways, she's dorky and awkward, sure. But man, I love seeing her getting the big time interviews with the crew there last night with Malika Andrews as the lead announcer and Megan and all them. And man, she was a little awkward, but she made the interview very much about her family, about her sisters and her parents, and how much joy she's having playing for the Tempo and building something new and building a new culture up here. And there was a nice interview, and I appreciate Megan for picking her as her pick for winning the thing. But of course, Fudd won last night, the rookie won, and she was really good. I mean, Fudd was, in some ways, she's scaring me because she's like this little player that's like, kind of like sweet and innocent looking, but she's a killer. She's a killer. I can tell right now, AZ Fudd is a killer because she'll come out there and she'll smile at you and she'll look sweet, and then she will kick your ass. And even in the interview, she was saying stuff like, I'm here to compete. I want to win. Yeah. She's a little bit psycho about competition. And well, it came through in the competition as she won. The first ever rookie to win the 3-point shootout in WNBA history. And her performance was fantastic, especially in the second round. It ended up being her versus Portland Fire's Bridget Carlton, our Canadian from Chatham. And well, Bridget had a really good first round, and she was just having fun, smiling, having a good time. But then, yeah, Fudd was no joke. She was no joke. She had to go first in the last round, and she tore it up and put a really high number, and Bridget stumbled in trying to match her. And well, Fudd won. Yeah, and she deserved to win. Marina did not do so well. But we will go look at the Toronto Tempo Redditor of the day. It is the Macaron. And the Macaron is reporting that Marina and Under Armour select Canadian Foundation Canadian Foundation, the Black Women's Institute for Health, as their all-star community giving recipient. So the big news was that they're going to have every three that Marina Mabrey made in the three-point competition, they will donate $500 to the Black Women's Institute for Health here in Canada. And that's a big deal. So she got a certain amount, and I think she made $6,500 in charity for her cause from her shooting performance. Now, Marina didn't get into a good rhythm, and the shots were not dropping exactly right. But, I think that she was going too slow at the beginning, and she had to rush by the end. The first 3 racks, she was doing a little bit too slow. And then even she screwed up when on one of the racks, she thought there was an extra ball, and she wasted time turning to try and get a 6th ball that wasn't there. So obviously she wasn't counting the shots she was getting off of each rack. And then, she seemed like she was going a little slow. And about halfway through her shooting around the arc, she had to speed up real fast because she wasn't going to get all the shots in before the time runs out. And that kind of altered her shot. There were little brief moments where she started hitting everything, and it looked like she was in rhythm, but not for long enough. It's such a tough competition to do. It really, really is. And I think some of the things we were worried about for Marina in the three-point shootout did come true, where some of the things with her shooting technique and the way she does things are not conducive for that rapid fire, get this action kind of stuff. It's more like she's more creative with, she could shoot people in her face. She could shoot with a couple dribble steps up. She needs to get a rhythm a little bit for her to get really in sync with just being unconsciously making all of her shots. So, hitting 53 points in a game spread out is a lot different than trying to shoot everything right in a row like that. But yeah, she didn't have the best showing, but it was about an average score for everybody that didn't do that well. I mean, it really was just 2 or 3 people did well in the competition, and it was Fudd, Carlton, and who was the other person that got eliminated? Heidemann. Heidemann did okay too. She had a plus 20 score, but most of them didn't get over 20. I found the All-Star Weekend Friday night for WNBA to be very entertaining. I thought that the product was very well presented last night. This is something that I feel like I'm kind of checking on right now, because one of the things I do critique and talk about is media presentation, announcers, and things like that. And I thought that it looked really good last night, actually. I thought that the fun came through the screen. I thought that the energy in Chicago was nice. I didn't really take from it that it was empty and it was a bad crowd. I felt like there was a lot of energy in there, and maybe there were a couple seats missing here and there, like Trevor's saying. But it'd be different for us. We got to remember too, this is not the All-Star game that was last night. This is the All-Star festivities the Friday night. And sometimes these events in the NBA are not well attended either. The big enchilada tomorrow night, or tonight, I guess. The All-Star game should be very packed and look a lot different than last night. We got to remember that sometimes the extra activities are not well attended. Sometimes the tickets for those go to the celebrities and the other players more than actually the public. Like if you look at who was at the game, the festivities last night, it was a lot of WNBA players sitting around the court and Russell Westbrook. There were fans there, and you could see fans here and there, but it really is kind of an insider kind of like, this is for this. They had the team shooting stars competition with 4 different teams last night, and that was a fun, interesting one. There was the star of that was the high school kid that they had for the Washington team, who apparently is going to be in the WNBA in a couple years. So scouts, pay attention, because apparently if you're watching the Shooting Stars All-Star competition at WNBA, you're seeing the future of the WNBA coming out there. You've got literally the future, the present, and the past on each team, with vets like Elena Deladonna, and Lauren Jackson coming out there out of retirement to try and put shots up, along with current stars like Shakira Austin, and who else was in that? There was also Flage, and yeah, these high schoolers. But the high schooler for Washington And this is crazy because she was talking trash to the camera before that round, like she's all that. She is all that because she hit the most half court shots and helped the Washington team win this thing. And Della Donna was very important to that too. And Austin, she was the weak link on the team. The actual current WNBA player was the weak link out of the three on there. The old pro who's retired was really good in the first round. And then the youngster won both the rounds really for them with her half court shots. But yeah, that was a fun competition too. I enjoyed watching that. And I found, this is the thing. Once again, this has got to be accessible to a new audience because there's a lot of people turning on the TV to watch the WNBA for the first time ever in the 30 years of the WNBA. The spotlight of the league is growing, and that means new people are coming and new eyes. And we have to cover it for the new people too, not just the old people that have been following the WNBA for decades and know all the history and everything. You've got to, in some ways, just like the Raptors did, Teresa Resch, with the Toronto Tempo, you've got to teach your new audience basketball all over again because there's a lot of fans that have come in to watch the Tempo and the WNBA, and they don't know the sport of basketball at all. They don't understand the WNBA. And in some ways, we have to be like very basic teachers to them, like we did with the Raptors in the mid 90s. That you got to understand, Leo Routens in the beginning of the Raptors had to teach basic basketball rules, like what is dribbling and traveling, like what is this and what is this, like very basic shit that most people that have followed basketball absolutely have known for a long, long time. But when you have new fans coming in, you got to baby talk them and you got to teach them the very basics and build them up from there. The knowledge base of the Raptors fans did not just happen overnight. Overall, and I can tell you as a knowledgeable NBA fan at the very start of the Raptors, how dumb Raptors fans were about basketball in the beginning because they didn't understand the NBA. They didn't understand the sport of basketball even. And there were a lot of people trying to apply hockey logic to things. A lot of people trying to figure out how does this in hockey so I can understand this. Well, there's not really a comparison for this with the NHL and the NBA. I'm sorry. It's not really. It's apples to oranges here. So we still got to treat the presentation of the WNBA and the Toronto Tempo very, very elementary in the beginning right now, because there is a certain level of people that are coming in with no knowledge whatsoever. So yeah, congratulations to Marina and Under Armour Select for raising $6,500 for the Black Women's Institute for Health. That is fantastic stuff. There's our Redditor of the day for Tempo. Yeah, thank you to the macaron for that. Yeah. I don't know. The crowd seemed okay. I thought that it was a very entertaining show. It was fast though. It's weird. Like, how do you do your show so fast, WNBA, when the NBA seems to take like 5 hours to do their All-Star Friday night or Saturday night? Seriously. Like, All-Star Saturday night drags on sometimes. 3-point shootout, skills competition, dunk competition. It's like, holy crap. This is like a 4-hour show. Meanwhile, the WNBA somehow, some way are able to put the whole thing together in under 90 minutes. But of course, it's only 2 events, which is different. But still, 90 minutes, that's impressive. Y'all started at 8 and y'all were done by 9:15, which is crazy. In some ways, the NBA could learn something from that, really. Did y'all notice that they didn't let Kathy talk at all? She came out there and stood with the winners, but they didn't give her no microphone to talk or nothing. They barely want to even announce her, because when they do announce her, the people start booing, and they have to get a noise canceller on to hide the boos that are coming out every time she walks out with the trophy for the winner at the events last night. They had to cancel out the boos. It's crazy, man. It is crazy. Yeah, I'd love to see this event and this weekend happen in Toronto, and we will. That we will for sure, Trevor. I'll bet you that this will happen in the next 5 years, because they're going to want to really jump on the hot market of Canada and the enthusiasm the Tempo are bringing. And yeah, it's very likely. The one problem is our arena, though. In some ways, if they did this, the Tempo we're going to have to get Scotiabank for that, for the All-Star weekend. There's no way they can hold the All-Star game in Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is just not big enough for it to be worth it. So they're definitely going to have to rent the Scotiabank Arena out for All-Star festivities if they do have it here. And hopefully they can fill it the almost 18,000. Yeah, hopefully they can around there. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Trevor's saying this. Grange, man. After a reporter asked him, "What do you think about LeBron going to the Sixers?" He calls him a racist. Oh, Orange Man. Orange Man. Okay, I don't even know why we got to bring this guy up. First of all, man, I hate how much this guy's in the news. This guy's such a piece of crap. If anybody thinks that he's joking when he's putting on a 2028 hat, Trump 2028 hat, he's not. He's a dictator. He's serious. He's not a joke. He wants that to happen. And if the United States is not careful, they're going to continue to be hostage of him if they don't switch things up. I'm not even sure if y'all can vote yourselves out of this, because it's honestly, he's a guy who's amassing an army to protect him, and he's like a banana republic dictator at this point. So Americans, if you can vote the Republican Party out of office and change your country back and show this, you still got to fix your system because it's broken. And the next jabroni like Trump's going to come along and do exactly what he did because it's been proven that he can. So y'all are really in a bad place. And I'll say this: whenever Trump accuses somebody of something, he's basically telling on himself. So basically, instead of taking it as Trump thinks that LeBron James is a racist, which I can give you the reasoning why white supremacists would say that LeBron James is a racist. You want to know why? Because LeBron James has black pride. Because LeBron James is proud to be an African American. Because LeBron James is a very powerful black man with a lot of money, a lot of influence, and the ability to change lives. He's also maybe focused centrally mostly on black people's lives, and rightfully so, because he wants to help people like him as a young boy growing up in Akron. That's what I'm saying. So, Trump, as a white supremacist and a racist himself, because when Trump accuses somebody of something like the crime family Biden, well, he's telling you what he is, because that's exactly true. Every time he accuses somebody of something, whoever it is, it's an admission of guilt for his own personality. So basically, when Trump said that, Trevor, he's saying, I'm a racist, is what he just said, because he is. He's a white supremacist and a racist. He has no love for people of color, and he wants them to die. Just to be honest, he wants black people to die. He wants Hispanic people to die. He wants anybody who isn't a white Christian nationalist to die. And he's a racist. That's what it is. So LeBron James, if he dotes on helping black people, well, in a white racist mind, you're racist against white people because you ain't helping them too. That's probably his ideology and why he said that. It's also because probably they want to say bullshit like this about a good person like LeBron. I don't like LeBron on the court. I hate him on the court. I don't want him to win ever. But as a person and human being, I think he's an amazing person. I think that LeBron James is a great role model. I think LeBron James has done amazing things in his life. And well, that's how I feel about this whole thing right here. Trump's admitting that he's a racist, basically, and calling LeBron a racist. And I just told you the reasoning behind white supremacy rhetoric that probably would justify the whole comment is because he's a black guy who supports black communities and not white communities. That's what the white racist would be saying about this. So, yeah, thank you for the comment, but not really, Trevor, because if we don't have to talk about idiot Trump, I'm very happy. He's a pedophile and he should be in jail, not in the White House. He's a pedophile and he should be in jail, not in the White House. That's where I stand on that. Nako's going to bring this up. The Philadelphia 76ers foul baits a game. Yeah, foul baits a game. Now, of course, the big news came out yesterday afternoon that LeBron James has made his final decision. It sounds crazy. The last decision is what he's calling it. Like each one is so epic. And they have to be labeled something. The decision to go to South Beach. The going to the Lakers. Going back home. Now he's going to come to Philadelphia. Of all the places he could go, he's going to go to Philadelphia on a 2-year, $8 million deal, $4 million a year to go play for the Miami. And he had picked Miami. but he said at the last minute something maybe Pat Riley said, or maybe something somebody said about him joining with Giannis. And they said no. And he said, nope. And Miami is ready to do the press conference and roll it out and say, yeah, he's back in Miami, guys. But no, he switched it up at the last second. And it could very well be that the Sixers themselves were calling him like crazy. Jaylen Brown apparently was recruiting LeBron to do this. And Maxi's overjoyed. This is a very different Sixers team with him. In some ways, I'm not scared of them, though. I'm not going to believe this hype. A lot of people are already saying, oh my gosh, all this stuff. They get all enamored with like this kind of shit. And I'm like, no, let's look at the guts of this. The most important person on the Sixers, no matter how you cut it, I don't give a shit if it's you're saying it's Jaylen Brown coming from the Celtics, if it's you're saying it's LeBron, the all-time leading scorer in the NBA career points, most amassed. No, the most important person on this team is Big Dummy, and it'll always be Big Dummy as long as he's on that team, because that team is only as good as he is healthy. And I'm telling you right now, in some ways, bringing LeBron James to the Sixers means their defense is going to be worse and they may be easier to score on. Some of the problems the Sixers already have are kind of amplified by having James on the team. It's going to be interesting to see how Nick uses him, because Nick is a mad scientist and he is a very strong competitor. And in some ways, putting a player of the caliber of King James on his team is a very interesting thing. A very, very interesting thing. And you're dazzling me with Jaylen Brown showing up also. Yeah, it can get a little heady. It can get a little scary. But I think that some of the Sixers fans have the right reaction to this, and they don't want LeBron on their team because they know that in some ways LeBron is a distraction and he is going to get in the way of actually winning the championship. Because I do believe this also. Now, it does help them that it's a 2-year contract. I thought this year would be his final year in the NBA and it would be a farewell tour. And that in itself is a distraction from winning a championship. When you're going to be celebrating one of the greatest of all time, going around the league and saying farewell to everybody, that's going to be a distraction right there, let alone Big Dummy's health concerns and him not being able to play a full playoff season. So, well, they're going to go 2 years. So the way it looks like is this year will be a year where they actually try and go for it. And next year will be the farewell tour. So we'll have to see how it all works. I'm not scared of this at all. In some ways, LeBron James has returned to the Eastern Conference, but it's not the same LeBron James that went there 8 years ago. No, it's not in the least. So in some ways, Toronto fans and people should not fear him like we did in 2018. No, we shouldn't. And well, I say the circus has come to town for Philadelphia. Let's see how it's gonna go. It's interesting. In some ways, it makes so much sense. And in some ways, well, Toronto versus Philadelphia in the playoffs, woo-wee! Yeah, that'll be something. Yeah, with Mr. Claw on our team. That's right. That'll be something right there. Nako's saying, I wish Mamu was still here, not at that price. Yeah, it's just not feasible. In some ways, I knew, that basically, like, look, with that price the Lakers are paying Sandro, we could get like 3 or 4 players that are on our roster, because that's kind of how we have to do it. We're very we're very starting lineup heavy with our salary cap, and there's nothing wrong with that. Honestly, I prefer to have very expensive starters because that means they're top level and you're going to play your starters more minutes when the minutes shrink and the rotation shrinks, and it's just you're playing your best guys. So why not have the very best guys be your starting 5, and they take up a lot of your salary cap? Coming off the bench, we've got good young players. They're coming up like Shed, Walter, and Murray-Boyles. And then we have a very, very good starting 5. I don't care. All the shade, all the bullshit people throw at IQ, Yak, RJ is stupid. These guys are very good. And part of the reason why people throw all that shade at them is because they know they're good. And an injury by IQ or Yak will give people a chance to throw things on them, unfair things. And I think that what we've done with our team is very smart, and it will pay off this year. We're going to see it. We're going to see it because in some ways it's not about trying different players over and over again like a lot of teams do. It's about getting the right players the first time, keeping them in the fold and developing them and building value in them over time. This is Siakam. This is Anunoby. This is Fred. These are players that started with us. We worked with them for a while and we built them up to very high levels. And value is built from that. It's not from just adding a Sando Mamukelashvili at $12 million a year to the Lakers. No, value was built in a very hyper fast year of getting Sandro to a new level on our team as a rotation player at $2-something million. That's value. And you get value from building young talent like Shed, Walter, Murray-Boyles, Allen Graves, up from the beginning to the potential more and more as time goes on. And that's the way the Raptors have been successful in the era of Ujiri and Bobby Webster, is you get the value from building the young players up and they get better and better. And it's not about switching guys in and out and trying to just get guys who did most of the work somewhere else and plugging them in here, like Mitchell Robinson going to the Celtics or stuff like that. This is the way we do it. And it's been very successful. It's been very, very successful. Medved Ted's here. Good morning, Medved Ted. Thank you for supporting the channel. And Trevor, thank you for supporting the channel also. Mama will be a fan favorite in LA. Yeah, they're already taken to him. Lakers fans are crazy. In fact, this is one of the things like, all right, Stargate went and checked on the Sixers fans yesterday because Stargate is apt to do this. Our good friend Stargate. He went and told and reported back to us in the Discord channel. He's saying, I've been going to look and see what Sixers fans are saying about LeBron. And some of them are pissed off and they don't want him there. They don't want him there. One of the reasons why they don't want LeBron in Philadelphia, some of the Sixers fans, is they don't want the LeBron fans to join their fan base. Yeah, they know that they're toxic and they're crazy and they're weird and they're annoying. And some of the old-time Sixers fans are saying, we don't want the LeBron heads in our fan base because we know just how fucked up they are. Yeah, strap yourselves in, Sixers Nation. Run it back, Philly. This is going to be an exciting year for y'all. You know what? Think about this, Philadelphia. Think about how the Lakers have been portrayed and put in the news for ESPN and just over covered. Well, it's going to be y'all this year, obviously, because that attention in some ways doesn't just sit on the Lakers. It gets doubled when it's LeBron on the Lakers, but LeBron has his own spotlight and attention that comes with him, and it's going to be put on y'all, and that's going to be a whole other level of distraction. The problem with the Sixers is they're not totally run correctly. And if they have any toxic or any weirdness, it will manifest on the court in losing and taking L's. We know that. I was looking at Nick Nurse's coaching career with his life, and I was talking about it on his birthday and how he's much more winning in Toronto. He had his worst season ever as a coach with the Sixers 2 years ago. He won 23% of his games. And he did better in Tampa when he was coaching the Raptors, just so y'all know. So things can get really toxic and bad in Philadelphia. Trust me. And we know that happened in LA while LeBron was there many, many years. So, yeah, you tell me how things are going to go. Are they all going to get along? Are they all going to have the same work ethic? Are they all going to be tight? Really? That's a lot of weird egos in different places. And Joel is the old elder statesman, the long-standing guy that's been in Philadelphia the longest. Jaylen Brown, he says he's the smartest person in the room. And, well, LeBron is his own circus just all by himself with enough rings just with him, a 3-ring circus. Yeah. Yeah. Maxey, he's just a good young dude who's going to try and hold it all together, but may be very sad because things are just impossible to hold together. And as Fiercey said on the Discord, how long will it take Nick Nurse to run some of these guys to the ground with his overplaying them and not giving them rest? I mean, he really does have a very nice starting lineup at this point with Maxey, Edgecombe, and James and Brown and Embiid. But, he's going to run them to the ground because that's what Nick Nurse does. He overplays his starters. He overplays his premium players. So we'll have to see how he deals with LeBron and specifically. And of course, big dummy as usual. Yeah, because that's always an issue. Joel is very much the tightrope walker of the circus because he could fall in that net of injury at any time. And Nick has to be worried all the time when he plays Embiid. Because he's like, oh, I really wanted to get 40 minutes out of you tonight, Joel. Well, I can't do it, coach. All right, well, sit down. We'll get you some rest, and we'll play you more next game. Shit like that. Shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Medved Ted saying this. Allen will be a great 3-and-D replacement for Sandro. In some ways, he is going to kind of fill in those holes of those roles for our team in some ways, but is he going to be exactly the same kind of player? I don't think so. I would tell you the differences between Sandro and Allen are, Sandro is a little bit bigger and he may play a little bit more center kind of minutes for us last year, but Allen's smaller. And what Allen's going to do is he's going to be more of a disruptor than Sandro was. Sandro could be a disruptor at times and get his hand in the cookie jar and cause deflections and get us to go in transition. But Allen Graves is going to be a whole other level of that. In fact, Allen Graves is going to be the kind of shit disturber that's very much a bird of a feather flocking together with Scotty Barnes and Colin Murray-Boyles. And that means just getting in passing lanes, anticipating things. Like in some ways, this dude, Sandro did have that move where he would get in the passing lanes and run through and get the ball and run down and get a really nice layup or dunk off of a steal. But Allen's going to be doing it too. He's going to be doing it too. I would also maybe even make this prediction about the difference between Graves and Mamukelashvili is that Allen Graves may be a better shot blocker than Sandro, even though he's not as big as him. Because this is the thing. Allen's such a good anticipator. That's the one thing I learned from watching him at Summer League is that this man is playing a couple of steps and plays ahead of everybody else. And the great anticipators are able to, even if they're not as fast as people, they know where to go and they know where to be. There's a clip this past week that came out with Hello and Welcome, and William Lou's going over plays with Allen Graves, and Allen Graves is telegraphing the telestrator and saying, this is what's going to happen here with this player going around here and here. And when you listen to him talk about it, you're like, yeah, this dude has a huge basketball IQ, and he is a very strong anticipatory factor of knowing what's coming up next and going to the right place and doing the right action at the right time. Because that's the other thing. It's not just the foresight and the vision to see the play unfolding in front of you and being ahead of it. It's also to have the timing with your hands to block or steal or deflect without getting a foul. And Allen Graves has got this better than Sandro. So that's going to be probably part of the big difference there too, is our defense is going to be better slightly with Allen Graves. Watch. Slightly better. Yeah, slightly better. Kaz is here. Good morning, Trucker Kaz. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Kaz. I'm playing you in the WNBA Fantasy League right now, but we're on break. So ceasefire. We are having tea in the battleground in the middle of the All-Star weekend. Cheerio, tea to you, Mr. Kaz, as we have a détente. Just a little, ceasefire here, between our fantasy WNBA matchup. That's right. Nameless is here. Good morning, Nameless 416, repping in the 6, baby. That's right. Georgian food is absolutely fantastic, by the way, y'all. So there's a reason why he has to go back and get the authentic stuff. I'll bet you Sandro, while he was in Toronto this past year, was able to find some pretty good authentic Georgian food in Toronto that Nameless knows about, probably. But it's nothing beats Mama's food back home, or just the restaurants and the authentic culture and climate of the country of Georgia. Yeah. He's got a lot of this stuff on his YouTube. Like I said, he's got like 4 or 5 videos up now. And Alessandro helped him put them together. Alessandro really is his personal photographer and his editor and his YouTube channel manager. And he threw that stuff together. So go check out our friend Alessandro's work on Sando Mamukelashvili's YouTube channel. And also, while you're at it, go subscribe to Jacoby Walters' YouTube channel also. And Elijah Martin. Elijah Martin is teasing this morning that he's going to have a new drop come out on his YouTube channel very soon, but depicts his Vegas experience at Summer League. It's too bad there's no playing in it, Elijah Martin. Like, I don't understand why you didn't play at Summer League. I think that was a big mistake, my guy. Very, very big mistake. You can ask Grady Dick about last year. That's right. Fiercey's here. Let's see what MJ's saying this morning. Thank you for supporting the channel. Good morning, fam, and happy Share the Love Day. Glad we had Mamu yet last year. He seemed to be someone liked by many. Great team player, spark off the bench. Glad he had a nice deal in LA. Yeah, there's nothing wrong here. And as I told Alessandro, pass it along to Sandro and Mercedes. Always welcome in Toronto. You guys come back up and see old friends and teammates and old places you went to and enjoy the city again. Canada's always got open arms for Sando Mamukelashvili, as long as he doesn't say anything derisive or awful about us somehow, some way, in a stupid way, which I don't see happening. Because he's very straightforward, just a nice guy, just in general. You know, the thing about Sandro is he's that quiet kid who's an underdog who just blossomed and became a big, huge dude and became an NBA superstar. And in some ways, that is not a common trait and common thing. In some ways, it's like you got to understand Sandro's a very humble person. He's a very, very nice person. In fact, he may dote on other people to his own detriment in the past. And in some ways, one of the biggest hills that Sando Mamukelashvili has had to climb in his NBA career is believing in himself and really putting himself out there and going for it and saying, yes, I am good enough. Yes, I can do this. One of the biggest jobs that Darko did to help Sandro this year, and this is why Sandro loves Darko so much, is he instilled a lot of confidence in him. He gave him the keys to the court to go out there and be himself and do what he likes to do, and he flourished for it. And in some ways, that's some of what Sandro needed. Alessandro told me, it's like we have to tell him all the time he's so great because he really is such an ordinary guy. And in some ways, he's so humble and he's so kind of like not bragging kind of person that it's like, dude, you're in the inverse. You know, so many basketball players are so full of themselves and think that they're the cream of the crop, egotistical best player in the world. I'm just great. I'm just great. And they may be absolutely wrong and very much just kind of like an egotist. Sandro's the opposite. In some ways, he's always been a humble dude and kind of a guy who's a pushover in some ways because he's like, you know, you guys are nice. I'm going to be nice to you. You know, oh, you're being a jerk. Why are you being a jerk, man? You don't need to be a jerk to me. I'm not going to be a jerk to you. So why are you being a jerk to me? He's kind of like that energy, right? He's not braggadocio. He's not like the Scarborough Shooting Stars. Let's just put it that way. Who will tell you they're going to kick your ass and get in your face with egos. And in some ways, you know, Sandro has lacked that in his personal career, is the bravado and the braggadocio and the really strong ego that believes just how badass he is. People have had to build him up. And well, this is confidence. He gets confidence from Darko, believing in him, his teammates on the Raptors. And well, he blossoms and boom, he gets his contract from the Lakers. And going forward, hopefully Sandro's able to carry his weight and who he is in the NBA a little bit more confidently. Because I'm going to tell you right now, his years in the Bucks and the Spurs weren't the most, he wasn't the most confident guy. But last year with the Raptors, he gained a lot of confidence from being around us. And that's why he flourished. That's why he flourished. Yeah. Fiercely saying this, I'm sad Marina didn't win the 3-point contest, but it was a nice event to watch. And the shooting competition prior to it showcased talented young girls meshing with the current players and legends. That girl who's on Washington's team is going to be in the WNBA. And I would like to think that, you know, Tempo personnel were scouting those girls that were in the shooting skills competition. Seriously, because they're future. Their future. That girl who won for Washington, she is going to be in the WNBA and she's going to be a baller, y'all. I can tell you right now, my scouting and the way I look at people when I watch basketball, I can tell when people are badasses. I saw Steph Curry when he was 12 years old, and I said, that dude's going to be in the NBA someday. And I was right. Boy, was I right about Steph Curry. And I have a feeling about that girl that was on that Washington team right now. And that is somebody that Teresa Resch and Monica Wright-Rogers need to put a pin in and monitor and possibly draft when her name is available in the WNBA draft. I'm telling you right now, that girl is special. Fudd's very special too. I'll say that. Those two big winners right there are that high school kid who's on the Washington team and AZ Fudd. Those are two really good players right there. Really, really good players. Marina had fun. In some ways, it's like Marina's awkward. When she did her shooting and she finished, there were a lot of interesting expressions by her peers in the WNBA that play in the league when they were watching her. Yeah. In some ways, she is not somebody who's popular. I can tell. I can tell. But it doesn't matter. She's a badass, and we've got a place for her in Toronto to flourish and be herself and kick major ass. And that's all that matters. In fact, the more haters you have, the more you're a badass. That's the thing. That's the thing. Marina, you got 53 this year. In some ways, you got a big target on you for hating at this point. And your peers will hate you. Trust me. They will hate you. There's a lot of people that love you, that your old teammates, people from your past in college, and also from the many teams you played for in the league. But there are definitely haters that don't like her. And yeah, we could kind of see their expressions after the game, after the shootout, when she took her turn and she's walking back over, and they showed some of the crowd. Yeah, they're like, yeah, if you go back and look at it, you can see what I'm talking about. Seriously. But yeah, Marina's just having fun. In some ways, this is a cool weekend. She went to the All-Star weekend 2 years ago as just a participant in the three-point shootout, but not as an All-Star. And this year she's an All-Star. So she's going to be playing tonight too. And who knows? Maybe she'll have a really good game in the All-Star game. We'll have to see how it goes tonight. That's right. All right, Fiercey's brought up some of the games last night. Last night's CBL action was amazing. There was so much good action last night. 3 fantastic games, all with very much playoff implications. And the Scarborough Shooting Stars, the Montreal Alliance, and the Calgary Surge were victories last night in the games in the CBL. Ottawa Blackjacks annoyed me, losing a very winnable game. That game with Montreal was interesting. I caught the end of it. There was a chance there, but man, the size of Quincy Guerrier, and they were saying the screening that he does helped the Montreal Alliance end a losing streak, which they very much needed to end because they had lost like 3 in a row and they were plummeting in the Eastern Conference. So yeah, it's really tied up now in that conference because look, there's the Scarborough Shooting Stars who are 17-4, and Miles Powell, after they won last night against Niagara, said he's going for 20. There's nobody ever in the history of the CBL that has won 20 wins in a season because there's only 24 games in the season. And well, the Scarborough Shooting Stars have lost 4 games and they have 3 games to go. So Miles Powell declared it after the game. He said, we're going to win the next 3 games and we're going to be the first ever Canadian Elite Basketball League team that wins 20 games in a season. Woo-wee! I love that. Some of the other guys were saying, no, we just want to win the chip, Miles. And Miles said, no, man, we're going to try and win the next 3 games. The next game's tomorrow, and they're going to be playing Montreal, I believe, tomorrow in Scarborough at 4 p.m. We're going to try and win all 3 of these next games in the next week, and we're going to finish this season 20-4. That's what Miles Powell said after the game in the interview after the game. That's crazy. So with the things that happened last night, the win for Montreal, the losses for Ottawa and Niagara, the records are as such. Brampton is in second with 9-11 record. Then you have Ottawa, Niagara, and Montreal all with 9-12 records. This is going to go down to the wire. And this is the crazy thing. Any of those 4 teams can miss the playoffs at this point. None of them have clinched. Brampton, Ottawa, or Niagara, or Montreal. So, wow, 9-12 or 9-11. They all must have pretty much the identical records. Brampton's lost 3 in a row now. Ottawa's lost 2 in a row. And Niagara's lost 2 in a row. And Montreal just ended their 3-game losing streak by winning last night. Crazy. Let me go over each game a little bit. First of all, out west, the late game was Calgary and Edmonton. The Surge continue to stack wins and try and make a late push to make the playoffs. They are 1 game behind Edmonton now because they won this game. It was very important for them to beat Edmonton to catch up on them to still stay alive. On the other side, Vancouver and Winnipeg are in. They're both 13-8, and they have clinched their spots. Saskatoon is in also because they're 10-10. And they cannot be caught. They've won their last 3. So Edmonton and Calgary, the 2 Alberta teams, are battling for the last playoff spot in the West. And well, Calgary stayed alive by beating Edmonton last night. It was a big, big win for them. Very, very important. These games are really ratcheting up and very intense, and the competition is very high in the CBL right now. Leading scorer for Calgary in the win was off the bench. It was Omidi Abdul Alabdan, 16 points and 8 rebounds on 6 and 9 shooting. It was a well balanced attack. 14 points by Sincere Carey. Also, David Joplin and Edison Patterson had 13 points for Calgary Surge. Their team is very different. They've gotten a lot of turnover, but it's gelling at this point and keeping them in the playoff picture. For Edmonton, on the losing side, there was 19 points off the bench for Tay Donald and also 19 points for the captain, Nick Hornsby, in the starting lineup. Also 9 rebounds for him. But yeah, a loss for Edmonton, which keeps Calgary alive in the Western Conference playoff picture. Talking about the game that Fiercey watched last night, Ottawa and Montreal. It's a grudge match. And, well, Montreal was able to pull it off at home. 21 points from Kevin Osawe. Very, very much leading. Hitman Blondo, Tobo Kigino. He got 23 on 7 and 9 shooting. Yeah, Quincy Guerrier, a big factor with his size. Ottawa Blackjacks got 30 from Isaiah Moore and 26 from Javonte Smart, but not a whole lot from anybody else. And yeah, it was a winnable game, as Fiercey said, but in the target score time, they choked, and Montreal came through, much to the delight of the Montreal fans. So yeah, it's a big win for Montreal to stay alive also. And then finally, the dominant Scarborough Shooting Stars with an 82-75 win over Niagara. Over most of the game, the River Lions were winning and kicking the Scarborough Shooting Stars' butt with a lead most of the game. But the Shooting Stars know when to turn it on. And in the fourth quarter, right around when the target score time is going to happen, they start closing the gap and getting it close and even trying to take the lead. But they weren't able to. At the beginning of this target score time, actually, Niagara was up by 2 and had the advantage going into it. But target score time is a time where they don't mess around. And in particular, Uwat had some very big plays. He had a very big dunk, and then he had also had a very good open 3 to make major points for them in the target score time to separate themselves from Niagara and get the win and end up winning by 7 even. Like, they really torched them in that time. Now, here's an interesting note about the Scarborough game from the Raptors. I'm going to say this right now and listen to me. Jama was at the game last night. Jama Mahalea, the assistant coach at Darko for the Raptors and also assistant coach for Team Canada, and Gordon Herbert was sitting in the front row watching this Niagara versus Scarborough game last night at Pan Am Center. I don't know who he was there to watch. I don't know if he was just there as an appearance because they wanted to have Canadian people there to support the league, like players have come, like Dylan Brooks and AJ Lawson. Or he was actually there on official business, which I hope he kind of was. Now, it doesn't hurt that Jama was watching Frank Mitchell last night, because I'm telling you right now, Frank Mitchell is making waves. He is a rookie in the CBL. He's probably going to be rookie of the year. He's probably going to be the best Canadian of the year. He doesn't even start. He comes off the bench. Fiercey saw him play the other day against Ottawa in person. So she saw the size and the way he plays, his nice touch, and his very quick foot for being such a man of size. Rob Black calls him the Charles Barkley of the CBL. Well, Jama, did you watch Frank Mitchell last night? And would he be possible to be put on the Raptors roster for this year? Because seriously, we got some roster spots open, and Frank Mitchell is a different kind of look in the way he is. Seriously, if Jama was at the Scarborough Shooting Stars game last night, scouting for Darko and Bobby Webster, Frank Mitchell, Charles Bediako, Uwat, Miles Powell, Terquavion Smith. These are all guys you could look at because they're all got very intense, interesting skills. Let's just put it that way. The long arms and quickness of Uwat, the size and soft touch of Mitchell, the running and gunning and crazy-ass offensive player Miles Powell is. And, yeah, Terquavion Smith is something else too. So, yeah, I don't know what Jama was doing there but he was watching them shooting stars and maybe even the Khalil Ahmad and the Niagara River Lions to an extent too. So yeah, the River Lions in the loss were led by Ahmad, who only had 15 points. They had a very balanced scoring, but he was kind of held down and not as powerful as usual. On the other side of things, it was leading scorer was Turquavion Smith with 19 points and 10 rebounds and 10 assists. He had a triple-double last night, Turquavion, yeah. Also, Frank Mitchell continued his double-double streak with 10 points and 12 rebounds off the bench. Yeah, this Scarborough team is no joke. And in fact, they added another player from their past last year back into the fold, Michael Foster Jr., returning to Scarborough Shooting Stars recently. So there is some continuity from their team last year. It's just they show up later in the season, whether it's Smith, Walker, Foster, Khalil Miller. These guys were all on the team last year, but they show up as the season goes on. But man, Scarborough's like 10 deep, guys. They have good players that don't even play, like Cat Barber, that they're sitting in street clothes and just watching, and they just have auxiliary guys that they bring in and rotate in. Like if Miles gets suspended for too many technicals or bumping the ref, then Cat Barber steps in and puts the jersey on and gets out there. And he could start for most of the teams in the league. This man, they're so deep that this guy's sitting in street clothes at the end of the bench waiting. It's crazy, man. But they are so good. They are so good. And a fantastic alley-oop to Anthony Walker at 1.2. Wow, what a fun game to watch. Scarborough is awesome. Their team is so good. And I hope Jamo is watching them for reasons for the Raptors. Seriously. So, yeah, big win for Scarborough. Big win for Montreal. Big win for Calgary. And the playoff race in the CBL is heating up. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, well, it's the Canadian Elite Basketball League. It's the NBA for our country. And we have 10 teams across the country. And it's very high-level basketball. And you could probably be watching it in your major city. Vancouver, Saskatoon, Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Niagara, St. Catharines, Brampton, Scarborough, Ottawa, Montreal. Yeah, all those spots we got professional teams in. And today, there are games today. So let's go ahead and tell you, if you want to catch some of the action today, we got tonight, Brampton is at Winnipeg. And we'll be playing in Winnipeg at the Canada Life Center. That's a 3:30 p.m. start this afternoon, Eastern. So if you're in Winnipeg, go to an afternoon game. I think it's around 1:30. And then also tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, Saskatoon will visit Vancouver in Langley for a matchup at 9 p.m. Eastern. So, yeah, 2 games tonight, Brampton at Winnipeg and Saskatoon at Vancouver. Yeah, the season's going to be ending soon. They finish up on the 3rd of August, and then it'll be playoff time, and that is going to be intense. The thing is, with a small league of just 10 teams, the rivalries are very intense because these teams play each other so many times, and they really get to know each other. So there's grudges. There's all kinds of shit talk, and some of these games have devolved into very bad things, partly because of how much competition and shit talk there is, where fans are getting escorted out and players are getting ejected and coaches are getting thrown out too. So there's a lot of drama in this league. I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of drama in this league. Yeah, it's crazy. Very, very competitive league. I'm telling you right now. Kaz is saying, thank you, Adriana, for helping Lex wake up. I know, she wakes me up. And sometimes, like when she was in St. Vincent recently, she didn't call me. And it was weird because I had to get up on my own. And it was different. But I'm used to the wake-up call. It's nice. It's nice. It's nice to hear her voice first thing in the morning. That's the first thing I hear is Adriana. It's like, wake up. You got to go do the Raptor Freak show. That's basically what it is. We'll give Adriana a dunk for doing that. How about that? Let's give Adriana a dunk for being awesome and doing that. Let me see. Where's my dunk sheet? I lost my dunk sheet. Where is it? Okay, let me just bring it up real quick. Yeah, we're talking about Sando Mamukelashvili today. If anybody wants to say anything about why they love Sandra, we got the original 12 for Colin Murray-Boyles for Adriana on her dunk chart. She's got 12 dunk points now. That's right. Mr. Greg is here. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Mr. Greg. Hope that condo renovations are going smoothly and you're very happy with the contractor's work. That's right. Fiercely saying good morning to Mr. Greg and fam, and thank you to Adriana. That's right. Yeah, good morning. Fiercely saying they didn't want to boo the WNBA commissioner, but I also enjoyed the WNBA show and was able to then watch the Blackjacks debacle. I don't think you should hold your head in shame. This is the thing. These teams are fighting right now. And, Javante Smart's a little bit more hot. They win this game. It's just like this right now. The league is so good with parity, except for the Scarborough. Scarborough's like a team that's in another league above everybody, but otherwise, and Scarborough will be, susceptible in the playoffs possibly. We'll have to see how they perform in there. Somebody could beat them. Niagara has played us sometimes recently where they kicked our ass. And I was like, whoa, wait a second. River Lions are a real threat, even though they were at the bottom of the league from the beginning of the year. So, teams are coming up and getting better at different times in different waves. And it's any team's game. Although Scarborough does very much look like the favorite to win it all. And I wouldn't be unhappy if the Scarborough Shooting Stars get to put up their second CBL championship banner in the Pan Am Center. I would not be unhappy about that as a fan of theirs. Yeah. Yeah. They didn't want to give any chances for people to boo her and make her look bad. But man, you could feel the energy is not right around her. You could feel it around Kathy Engelbert. That's right. Fiercely saying the LeBron take was wild and uncalled for. Even I, who's not a LeBron fan, thought it was out of pocket and irrelevant to say this in response to a player joining a team. Why was this even a question to the president? Nothing to do with politics, because it's huge news. It's a huge news of the day. And in the past, they would be able to ask Barack Obama this question, and he'd be like, "Oh, LeBron James is one of the greatest players of all time, and I wish him well in his next journey with the next team he's on. Philadelphia, huh? Really? Philadelphia? Really? Really? That's probably something like Obama would have said. But no, Trump is a racist. And he hears the name LeBron James and he's around his racist friends enough who are sitting around him and saying, hey, LeBron James is racist. He won't help white people. He only helps black people. So he's racist. And, this is what these fucking people say, these idiots, these Confederate Ku Klux Klan motherfuckers. Seriously, Trump is in with them. And once again, everything that Trump accuses other people of, he's guilty of. He's telling on himself every time. It's almost like people should be writing down everything he's saying about other people, make the list and say, all right, we need to investigate him for this, this, and this. When Trump says LeBron James is racist, he's saying he is racist himself. That's basically what that is. That's basically what it is. It's always that way. That's right. Fiercely saying this, Gary Trent Jr. paid more than LeBron. Yeah. In some ways, who cares? That's the thing. I don't think that that's a weird thing in some ways because they're in different places in their careers. They're in different things. The whole thing about the Milwaukee Bucks getting investigated for this thing with Gary Trent is sad and really kind of pathetic in some ways. Listen, Gary, if they had some sort of arrangement and he came and he got paid $2 million and now he's getting paid $15 million a year to make up for being underpaid for a couple of years, I still don't see any problem with this, but I understand why people think this is cap circumvention and that this should not be allowed. So if the Milwaukee Bucks have done something wrong, they should be punished, just like the Clippers. And I don't want to see some weird shit where the Milwaukee Bucks get the book thrown at them and the Clippers get a slap on the wrist. Because the thing that the Clippers did is 100 million times worse than what the Bucks did, if you ask me, because it's not really like a huge factor for helping the Bucks win what they're doing with Gary right now. That's the thing to me that's so silly about it, is that this is not a needle pushing move. This is not something that's going to help the Bucks get closer to championship. If anything, the Bucks are further away from a championship than ever this year coming up because they just lost Giannis. So it's like, no. And I understand LeBron was willing to take a pay cut to go and be on a team that is going to compete. And $4 million for LeBron James a year, that's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty good deal. So you can look at that and be like, what is this world? But it's just, they're totally different apples to oranges things. And I'm not mad at Gary. First of all, I'm not going to get on Gary. I'm not going to, I think Gary Trent is a great guy. He's a former Raptor that I really appreciate. And I'm not trying to insult Gary. I'm not trying to incriminate him or anything like that. I don't know what the fuck happened with this. I think that Gary is just a dude who wants to get paid. And well, This is some weird shit. I think the Bucks front office are idiots. I'll say that. I'll say that. I'll say that. Yeah. Trevor J saying this: LeBron was waiting to see what happened to Kawhi's investigation was over to make his decision. No, he didn't care about the Kawhi decision. That had nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. In some ways, LeBron was being pressured by Adam Silver to make his decision so that they could start making the schedule. Now that they know that LeBron's on Philadelphia, now they can start making the schedule and figure out how they're going to market him with the games. Like, when are they going to have Philadelphia visit LA to play the Lakers? When is Philadelphia going to get their games against Cleveland? When is Philadelphia going to get their games against Miami? When is Philadelphia going to play us? Because there's a lot of high drama with the Nick Nurse versus Raptors, Kawhi versus LeBron, all that kind of mess. So, we've got to be very strong this year. The Atlantic Division with the champion Knicks and the Celtics always being a love of the league to help. Now with LeBron on the Sixers, it's going to be so hard for us to win in the Atlantic, but having Kawhi will give us a real fighting chance. Because listen, the reason why our record is so bad against the Atlantic Division in the last few years is because the NBA finally figured out how much the Raptors were ahead of all those teams when we beat up on them throughout the 2010s. Our records against Philadelphia and New York were exemplary when we were kicking the shit out of them for like 10 years. And in some ways, they're trying to make it more that they were beating us more over time by manipulating our games against them. The two ways they manipulate our games against the Atlantic Division is they schedule us on a lot of back-to-backs on a second night against Atlantic Division teams that are important. And then also they do ref hit jobs in the middle of the game with refs like Ed Malloy and Scott Foster helping to decide the game. By in the middle of the game, at the end of the game, they will fuck over the Raptors with calls and help the Celtics or the Knicks or the Sixers beat us. So in some ways, LeBron going to the Sixers is going to make it harder for us to beat Philadelphia, partly because NBA storylines are going to be written by Adam Silver, and he may be protecting these teams from losing to the Raptors right now. It's no joke that the Raptors never beat the New York Knicks while Grady Dick was on our team. There's no joke, because that was on purpose. That was done through scheduling, and that was also done through refereeing, and also partly from the teams being very strong, but also them helping them and not letting them have a blemish, not letting the Raptors get a single win against the Knicks in the last 3 years. That's messed up. That's messed up, and that's on purpose, and that's league mandated, and that is manipulated. Trust me. We're not that bad in the Atlantic Division. It's just the NBA does not want the Raptors to beat Atlantic Division teams because they hate that we owned the Sixers, the Knicks, and the Celtics in the 2010s with Kyle and DeMar. And, they're trying to get back at us, and they're realizing it because they look at the historic records and like, whoa, the Raptors actually have a really good record against the Sixers. They kicked the shit out of the Sixers for like 15 years. Yeah, we did. We did. We had a winning streak against the Sixers while Kyle Lowry was on our team. They never beat us because Kyle had a personal interest in beating his hometown on the Raptors. So they're trying to make up for this kind of shit. They really are. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying. Kaloy's saying this. Morning, everyone. La ring chaser. Yeah, I don't even know if this is ring chasing. Sure, you could say that. He wants to have a chance to try and compete, but I don't know. Is this straight up ring chasing? Probably. You're putting him with Jaylen Brown and Joel Embiid. In some ways, they're trying to make like this is some sort of weird super team. I guess this could be fair. Kaloy saying LeBron fans already fantasizing shipping out Embiid and getting AD and Kyrie. See, that's part of the toxic right there. These LeBron fans are not going to respect the current fan base of the Sixers. And there's going to be civil war in the Sixers fan nation, it seems like. I heard these rumors already that they want to swap Embiid for Anthony Davis. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. In some ways, I would say that might be a smart move, but you may be just trading one injury-prone center for another, and it's going to be the same outcome. I mean, did LeBron really like playing with Anthony? Did Anthony really like playing with LeBron? Is there any weird fallout from the Luka trade there still with Anthony since he got blindsided by it, right? And then he was blindsided by the trade to Washington. I don't know. Either way, once again, that's trade speculation. Until that shit happens, I don't really care about talking about it. Nako's saying this: Allen's going to be a high IQ Swiss Army knife. He's got so many different skills, and he can fill stat categories across the box score. And I think that he's going to be a fan favorite, just like Sandro was. There's going to be hustle plays. There's going to be blue collar ethic, and it's going to go right into the heart of blue collar Toronto and how Toronto loves hard workers, a hockey town that likes hockey kind of stuff. And the thing that made Kyle Lowry a legend. Well, Alan Graves has got some of that hard work and determination and that kind of ethic himself. And that will make the Toronto fans fall in love with him. Watch, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Smooth saying makes sense to trade Joel for Anthony Davis. Does it? Does it really? Isn't it just like trading one pair of ugly shoes for another pair of ugly shoes? Is it really? Does it really? I mean, in some ways, it may be, the reason why I don't like it is because there's already a weird, toxic relationship between Embiid and the Philly fans. And I'd like that to just stay there because that in some ways does hurt them from winning. It really does. I don't know. Maybe Davis could have more promise with staying healthy during the playoffs, and that's not good. I don't want that. So I'm not about this trade. No, I'm not, because I want the Sixers to keep Big Dummy, because Big Dummy is the ultimate thing that will keep them away from ever winning a ring. So he needs to stay there. If it's a smart move for the Sixers to do it, they do it. Yeah, it might be, but I don't want it to happen. I don't want anything good for them. That's right. Smooth saying this: Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is getting a buyout from Memphis to sign with the Sixers per Chris Haynes. Okay, every little move I don't care about. I really don't. And KCP is somewhat of a okay player, but in some ways it's like I don't care. I don't care. That's little news. Seymour saying this: go Shooting Stars, go Surge. There you go. He's got his hometown CBL teams from his original hometown and the town that he lives in now. And both those teams won last night. That's right. Medved Ted saying, why would the Wizards trade AD for injury-prone Embiid? Because they're both injury-prone. And in some ways, I don't know. I don't know why. In some ways, you guys are doing trade speculation. If that happens, if that trade happens, we'll analyze it afterwards. That's why I can talk about LeBron now, because his landing space has been determined. He's in Philadelphia. Now we can look at it and critically think about it and react to it, instead of just, oh, he's on the Lakers. Oh, he's on the Heat. He's on this team. He's on that team. Instead of just going crazy, thinking about all the different possibilities. Fuck all that. If Embiid is a Wizard at some point, we'll talk about it then. But I don't want to talk about it now because I'm not Sixers freak and I'm not trying to speculate things for them. I'm a Raptors freak. And I speculate things for the Raptors to an extent, but also to a very little extent. Only realistic stuff. That's right. Let's see what else y'all are saying. Seymour saying 2K GMing. Yeah, 2K GMing is, you think, what's going on here. I thought they fired Morey, didn't they? They got rid of Daryl Morey. He's not in charge of the Sixers. So the people that are doing this are not Daryl Morey, just so you know, because I think he got canned. He got canned. He did get canned, I think. Yeah. Smooth saying this: LeBron might push for Davis. Wouldn't surprise me. Well, either way, is Le GM still in effect? The Lakers stopped the Le GMing. Either way, guys, this is not a Sixer stream. So we can talk about LeBron for like 10 minutes and we're fucking done, because I don't want to talk this whole stream. This is about Sando Mamukelashvili today. This is about a guy who's going to the Lakers, not a guy who just left the Lakers. We can give this as attention it deserves, but it's just this amount. It's not all the whole stream. I don't give a shit about this. That's what I'm going to say right here. Yeah, let's see. Medved Ted saying, what is this bronze third super team? Yeah, I don't know. Would you consider this a super team? Yeah, I guess you would. A little bit similar to Miami. I mean, where's the second one? Somewhere in LA? Was there a super team in LA? I didn't ever remember a super team being in LA. What, with Russell? That's not a super team. Those teams didn't do super. I don't know. Where's the third super team? And maybe this is the second one? Because Lakers never really had a super team, if you ask me. Swiss saying this: Washington did trade for DeAndre Ayton. Not a smart front office. They're desperate for relevancy. Yeah, well, I don't care. Once again, we're talking about this too much, like 36 win relevancy. Once again, never underestimate old franchises in the East that have been toxic and have been poorly run for years and years and years to get their shit together. whether it's Washington or Philadelphia. Both of those teams are in that category. So even if they do amazing things and acquire amazing talent and do really good with their draft, like Washington has, don't underestimate their ability to fuck this all up and still not do anything doing anything successfully is what I would say. Don't underestimate that, y'all. Is they don't do it like we do. We have to do it right. They don't have to do it right. They get all kinds of things handed to them, and they don't do things with discipline or right. Getting back to Trevor's words of wisdom, they won't get anywhere, even if they have all this stuff. I could see this Philadelphia team being very similar to the Lakers with Shaq and Steve Nash and Karl Malone and Gary Payton. I could see it being very similar to that. I could be seeing it just like that. That's right. Medved Ted saying our Atlantic division will be the toughest. Raptors, Sixers will be a rivalry. Braun trying to dominate in Toronto. No, fuck that. Why do you even write those words in a combination? He can't dominate anymore. He can't even dominate games by himself to win. So LeBronto's dead. And the whole idea of LeBron being that powerful is dead too. It's been gone for like 5 years now. LeBron is not the same player where he just takes over and wins games. He doesn't do that anymore. He doesn't do that anymore. Kawhi's stopping him. See, Kawhi still does it, though. That's the thing. That's the difference. That's why it's like Kawhi Leonard, he can still do it. He can still take over games at the end and singularly win games by himself. LeBron can't do that anymore. You know that's true. You know that's true. Let's see. Nick Nurse versus Darko. I'm all for it. Well, we'll just see how it all shapes up. And we'll probably get this match this year for sure. We will. That's right. Let's see. Smooth saying this. Toronto has to keep pace. That's why this Kawhi deal has to go through. And another move after that as well. We don't have to do another move after that. Oh my gosh. Reggie, just stop, man. No, we don't need to make another move. We just need Kawhi and we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Isaac's saying this. Touch grass and get your shots up. There you go. It's a beautiful day to do it. The past couple of days have been like perfect weather in Ontario. Perfect weather, just the right temperature, and the bugs are not that bad right now out in cottage country. I'll tell you that right now. The bugs have been very, very okay recently. It's just sunny and nice, and sitting in the yard in the sunshine and feeling the warm sunshine on your skin is so nice right now. So nice. Thank you, Isaac, for that reminder. Shaq Lindsay saying F cap circumventing. Adams should go to jail for trade violations. Adam Silver? I mean, I don't know. Should you say Steve Ballmer? I don't know. Either way, the league, they got to keep the illusion that they're fair to a certain extent. We can pick through it and see where they're not being totally fair. But if they were really on the up and up, they keep it all very, very equal. But they don't. They don't keep it equal. The referees, the schedule. Yeah, there's unfair shit going on in the NBA all the time, but they have to keep the illusion of it being fair. They have to keep the illusion. That's right. Trevor J saying ESPN has us very low to win a championship. They have New York and the Sixers first and second above the Raptors. They don't have us very low. That's not the right. Very low would be in the 20s. They have us like 7th to win now. That's not very low. We're in the top 10. We're in the picture. That's fair, honestly. I think that the power rankings I talked about a couple of days ago may have been a little high, but I'm okay with it. I like being in third, but this was before the LeBron final decision. And I mean, I say as long as the Raptors are getting put in the top 10, it's respected. Okay, Trevor? I don't think that's disrespectful. I think in some ways it's, people will put Philadelphia and New York above us because the champs and LeBron just went to Philly. If they start putting Boston above us, nah, I don't agree with that. Boston should not be ranked above us at this point with their changes and who they are, and plus also some people are sheepish to rank us higher right now because the deal has not gone through completely and they don't want to admit anything about us until they know for sure. And in some ways, some of them are rooting for it and not happen so that they can rank us down by number 20 or something like that. So some people are still ranking us a little bit lower because they're factoring in the Kawhi trade's not through yet. Then when it goes through, I'll bet you they'll raise us. So I wouldn't read any of these stupid rankings right now. It's all dumb anyway. Shaq Lindsay saying Adam's hand in the pie is effing up the NBA. Is it? Is that what it is? Love Sandro, but what happened during the playoffs?
Darko didn't use him on purpose because he was not a part of our future already. It's that simple. Sandro could have played in the playoffs. He would have played fine for us. But an executive decision by our front office and Darko is he's not a part of our future. So why would we invest playoff minutes in him? That's it. As simple as that. It's not that he played bad, Shaq Lindsay. I think that a lot of people have that misconception because they look at what he did and like, whoa, his stats dropped off in the playoffs. He didn't get to play because the Raptors already knew they were probably not going to re-sign him in the summer. And why would you invest minutes, valuable playoff minutes, in Sandro overly when you need to be playing Colin? You need to be playing Jacoby. You need to be playing Jamal. That's what happened, Shaq Lindsay. Let's not brand Sandro as underperforming in the playoffs. Let's be honest here. Darko did not give him his regular rotation minutes because Bobby Webster told him that he's not going to probably be on the team next year. So there's no reason to invest the time in him. That's what it was, Shaq Lindsay. That's what it was right there. Because I heard a couple of y'all saying this over and over again. Yes, Sandro's all this and that, but he was so bad in the playoffs. Dude, he didn't get to play in the playoffs, and that was on purpose. And that does it make sense what I just said? Because that's exactly what happened. It wasn't that he was a dud in the playoffs. He didn't get enough time to play and get going. You know what happened during playoffs? He got benched for players that were part of our future. Yeah, that's it right there. Shaq Lindsay saying this. I think part of Sandro's lack of performance in playoffs is a direct effect to BI's absence. No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. It was he was not in the rotation at that point. In some ways, he was taken out of the rotation. Think about it this way. Our rotation this whole entire year last year was 10 people, but in the playoffs, you shrink it to like 8 or 7. And Sandro was one of the 10 people that got cut out when we shrunk it to an 8 or 7 person rotation. And then it became the starters who were available, which was Shed, Colin, Scotty, RJ, and Yak. And then you had like Jacoby and one other guy, Jameson or somebody, or pick different people off the bench. That's why this happened. It wasn't because he did anything wrong. He didn't play bad. It wasn't because of BI. It's because Sandro was already not a part of our future for this year. And why would they invest valuable playoff minutes? They'd rather play them in the young guys who are coming up. They played AJ Lawson more than Sandro in a way, partly too. All right, let's keep going. Shaq Lindsay saying, "Happy birthday, Sandro!" But the grass is the grass ain't greener just because you have more money to spend. I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad at him. It's not his birthday either. Just so you know, it's not his birthday. We're just saying, share love to Bon Voyage, say farewell. Thank you for playing for our team this year. You're now a Laker. This is a segment I will do with departing players that played for our team that are beloved or liked. And we just want to give them respect on their way out. This is not his birthday. This is just me saying, share the love for Sandro, who played for our team this past year. Yeah. You know, the grass is not probably going to be greener in LA. And in different ways, it'll be nice. In different ways, it'll be worse. You know, LA, weather, atmosphere, things to do, being in LA, but the organization won't be run as well as the Raptors. Some of the stuff that are involved with the team won't be as fun or functional. In fact, he may be in the middle of some toxic shit in LA all of a sudden, in the middle of stuff. The team could be very weird. You know, JJ Redick's still the coach, right? And it's built around Luka and Austin. And, you know, they're going to have to find a post LeBron identity and see how they work. In some ways, we could kind of focus on who they have and their personnel and say, this is not going to be a good defensive team. And they're going to be scored on pretty easy, but they'll have Luka at least to try and keep the scoring up against it. You know, as far as grass is not always greener, well, it's true because they have drought in LA and they have water shortages and they can't all keep their grass watered. And up here in Canada, we have very, very green grass, very, very green grass, very green grass. Yeah. Let's see. Shaq Lindsay saying this Kessler's 5 first round picks. Damn. That's how much they had to spend to get him. Well, they're going to be a weird team. They're going to be a weird team. LA future dump. Yeah. Well, I mean, in some ways, I can root for the Lakers a little bit more now that LeBron's gone. Seriously, I will like the Lakers just slightly more because James is gone. And I will dislike the Sixers a little bit more because he's there. It's just I don't like the dude in the NBA on the court. As I said earlier, I like the dude as a human being, as a family man, and as a icon and a legend outside of the game. But on the court, he's the enemy, and I hate him. But in real life, I think he's a very exemplary human being, has done a good job in a lot of ways representing the NBA. So it could be both true. It could be both true. Isaac's saying happy birthday, Shaq Lindsay. Actually, let's go look at the birthdays since y'all are bringing it up. There is a birthday today, and it's original Raptor, Tracy Murray. Happy birthday to Tracy Murray. He's 55 years old today. Of course, Tracy Murray did something similar to Sandro. He did something similar to Sandro. He wasn't getting paid right by the Rockets. And well, the Raptors brought him in on talking Isaiah Thomas talking to Tracy and saying, you should come up here and we'll try and restart your career and get you back on track to get paid correctly in the NBA. And that's exactly what happened. Tracy Murray came up in our original year, our first year. He was a first-year Raptor, and he kicked so much ass. In fact, he was our second leading scorer behind Damon Stoudemire that, he priced himself out for us after that. We couldn't pay him to keep him. So he had to go to other teams after us, like Washington and Denver. And then he came and circled back to Toronto because he did really love it in Toronto. And he did love being a part of the Raptors' original inaugural season. So he came back and played for us a second stint when he was 29 years old in 2000, 2001. So Tracy Murray's a real one for Toronto. But much like Sandro, he had to come up here, blow up on cheap money where we paid him nothing. And then he got paid afterwards and had to go somewhere because we couldn't afford Murray after that. And in some ways, that was the ends to the means. Isaiah was doing a favor for Tracy Murray, and it jump-started his career and kept him going when the Rockets were letting him just kind of go away. They weren't taking care of him. 55 years old for LA's Tracy Murray. So happy birthday, Tracy Murray, original Raptor. That's whose birthday it is today. Kaloy saying this, so excited for the season to start. Watch the Raptors surprise everyone with Scottie getting the taste of superstardom and start the season guns blazing and be a top team, get that first seed. The Raptors got their taste of the playoffs this year against Cleveland, and it really shaped Jacoby and Jamal and Colin in particular. I've heard interviews with Shed and Walter since talking about how now that they know what this is like, now that they know what a 7-game series in the playoffs is like, they're going to orient the way that they train, their mindset, and their goals around this. And there's no joke with these guys. You got to understand, we've seen the workout videos of both those guys, Shed and Walter, this summer, and they've got a vision. They've got goals. They know what it's like now, and they know exactly how hard they have to work and what they have to do. Jacoby Walter in particular is a man on a mission. And you can look at him, and some people are already predicting Jacoby's going to have a huge leap this year, and I believe that's true. And I think it's going to be partly because some of his competition that was around him on the roster is gone for the start of the year, and also that he is putting in that work, that he's putting in the shots, he's putting in the gym time, he's putting in the fundamentals, mastery, because that's the thing with Jacoby. And you could even hear it on his YouTube channel in the clip that he posted from watching the Summer League games with Alan and Nate Biddle, is he pointed out Alan Graves doing fundamental things right. And he said fundamentals win every time. That's what Jacoby said. That's a life mantra for Jacoby Walter. Fundamentals win every time. Because that's the thing. Jacoby's only doing things right. He listens to the teachers. He sees the film from the greats, and he tries to mimic, and he takes the instruction because he's a good student, and he listens, and he tries to do it. If you watch Walter and the way he dribbles, his footwork, the way he brings his shot up, everything he does is perfect fundamentally. And that is going to make him an amazing player. In some ways, he's stealing that from his namesake, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was the same way. He was absolutely perfect fundamentally with his footwork, the way he moved, the way he held the ball, the way he dribbled. Everything was perfect. And Jacoby Walter's trying to do that too. And now that he knows, we're going to come back to the playoffs next year, and these guys will know what to expect. They won't come in cold and getting shook the first couple games because it's a new experience and it's all different. No, they know now, and they're planning and plotting immediately after it was over. In some ways, Jacoby and Jamal both said in interviews since the season ended, man, I didn't want it to stop. I loved the playoff basketball. I wanted to keep playing, and I'm mad that we got eliminated because it was fun. And we like playing in this kind of high stakes, high level kind of basketball stuff. So I'm telling you, don't sleep on this shit. Seriously. Some other teams may add a couple players like the Sixers with Jaylen Brown and LeBron James. Once again, I will remind Raptors fans, we do not need to acquire a lot of players when the players we already have are growing like plants in the garden and they're blossoming and they're flourishing and they're achieving new levels like Scotty Barnes and Colin Murray-Boyles. So I'm just saying, don't sleep on the collective getting better because they put in that work in the offseason. And we know Jacoby Walter, Jamal Shed are putting in that work right now. We know Scotty Barnes knows how to put in that work and comes back and improves. As people have said on ESPN and other channels recently, Scotty Barnes doesn't just get better year to year. He gets better week to week, day to day, month to month. He changes and levels up in the middle of the season. We know this about Scott. We've watched it ourselves as Raptors fans. How quick Scott can all of a sudden, holy shit, Scotty just went to a new level. He's on a new level again, guys. Holy crap. And he keeps that consistent level and just builds. And like I said, Colin Murray-Boyles had baby fat on his skin because he is a rookie last year. He's going to have more weight training. He's going to get more swole, just like Jacoby and Jamal. And he's going to get even stronger himself. And that's scary times for the NBA. The Colin Murray-Boyles is already Bam Bam and everybody else around the league with strength, going toe-to-toe with Steven Adams and actually being an actual match for Steven Adams' strength. Well, Colin's only going to get stronger, y'all. Because, look, he ain't got no muscle definition on his arms yet, Totally, does he? No, he don't. So they can get bigger, and he can get stronger. And he could make beef stew look like a cold chicken noodle soup with hardiness real fast. Yeah, you want to talk chunky soup? Yeah, we can talk chunky soup. No, let's not talk chunky soup. Let's talk spray. Baked beans. Y'all need some baked beans. Don't get Bush's baked beans. Canadian baked beans are best. And you can get yourself somewhere. This light is all in the craziness. It's Prince Edward Island County baked beans. And they got real molasses in them or something like that. But yeah, these are great baked beans. Straight goods on Canadian goods. Buy baked beans from Sprague Cannery. This is a Canadian company straight through and through. And you spend your money on Canadian companies. We keep it in our economy. And we stop feeding a pedophile-led country that's south of us that does not respect us and doesn't deserve our money and are buying their products. So, yeah, you want to know what beans to buy? Sprague Cannery. Straight up 100% Canadian beans. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I feel very strongly about the Raptors and their development, as you can tell. I really do. I really, really, really do feel very strongly about this. That's right. That's right. Let's see what else we're going to say here. Let's see. Shaq Lindsay's saying the way it works is if you don't have any picks because you traded it all for one player, you don't win. Well, that's when you start trading your tradable pieces. So Sandro's future in LA isn't cemented. Well, either way, in some ways, I wish him well. I wish him good health. I wish him happiness, him and Mercedes and Alessandro. But in some ways, I don't give a shit about how the Lakers do or what happens with their team. And well, Sandro, it's a business. Just navigate the choppy waters of the NBA and for yourself personally. And whatever happens there with Luka and what you're going to be doing this year in purple and gold. Yeah, I mean, I wish you personal success. I don't give a shit about your team winning, though. I really don't. I really, really don't. Fiercely saying this, where's Bronny going? Serious question, as I don't follow the Lakers. I think he's officially still a Laker, and he's still in their organization. I don't know how this all works either. What if it's a really weird thing where Bronny's out of the league now, and he just doesn't have a spot in the league, and it was completely LeBron and the Lakers just keeping him a spot? Yeah, I don't know. In some ways, I don't care. I have Bronny fatigue. There was way too much time where I heard Bronny's name way too often when I didn't really need to hear it because he really wasn't that important. He was overinflated. And now that LeBron's gone to Philly, I have no fucking clue what's happening with Bronny, and I don't care. They could talk about Bronny every single day for a whole year like they did before, and I will still not listen to it. We'll see. Maybe I'll see him in G League at some point. I'll be watching a Raptors 905 game and I'll be like, oh, Bronny's on the Sioux Falls Skyforce now. Oh, that's cool. Hey, there's LeBron's son. He's playing in South Dakota. Maybe that's where I'll see LeBron's son at some point this season. Oh, he's on this team. He's on the Mexico City Capitans. Oh, he's down in Mexico City. That's cool. That's cool. That'll be good for the G League. I'm sure a lot of people in Mexico City will come to more games if LeBron James Jr. is there. That's right. I don't know. I don't know where he's going to be. Is he going to be on the Sixers? Is he going to be on the Delaware Bluecoats? Delaware Bluecoats, probably. If he is following his dad. If he is following his dad, yeah. Shaq Lindsay saying, we value Sandro for what he brought on and off the court. LA valued the architect of Sandro, but they lacked the vision. I won't argue with this, Shaq Lindsay. I won't argue with you on this. See, that's the thing. To be a successful NBA team, you can have luck in the draft. You can have maybe a good coach, but a bad front office and a bad ownership group. You could have the vice versa. You could have a bad coach and a bad front office, but a good ownership group. You could have, if you don't have all those in the right places, ownership matters, front office matters, head coaching matters, beyond just the players and the acquisitions. The thing about the Raptors is, and once again, this is why I love Tim Lewicki so much. This is why I love Masai so much, is they built a culture. They built a thing that is a reputation. They built an aura. They built a way that we do things. And in some ways, there's a manual somewhere in the Raptors organization that Bobby can look at that, they've compiled and say, this is how the Raptors do things. And this is how we've kept our excellence in the, almost 15 years of Masai and Bobby being around our team, and that's what we needed. That's what Marina's talking about in the interviews yesterday at WNBA Friday Night All-Star. We are trying to establish a culture and a framework for how the Temple are going to be for the years to come. And if we do this right, because Teresa knows from being a part of the Raptors for so many years, that if you set that culture up right, it will beget more success. Part of the problem is a lot of the teams in the league do not try and set this culture up correctly. They may say they're doing it, but it's lip service. The Raptors actually do it. We say we're a family. We act like a family. Other teams can act like they're a family, but they stab each other in the back, really, and nobody actually does trust each other. Other teams can say, oh, no, we've got a great front office. But one of the people in the front office is a sexual predator and they're harassing someone, like in Phoenix. Oh, no, we have a great ownership. But our ownership is made all their money off of for-profit prisons. And it's a shady-ass, evil oligarch billionaire who's a piece of shit. There's all kinds of ways you can have toxic in your team, in your culture, and it can come from different departments. The Wizards can have all the draft picks in the world and all the talent in the world, but if they have a shitty coach who's a half-ass coach, I no disrespect to Keefe. It's just you, dude, you're not a creme de la creme coach. And in some ways, you can only take them so far. You can have all the draft picks in the world and you can fuck them up like the Hawks with Riza Shea and different shit like that. It doesn't matter. You have to have good people in all the spots. And the Raptors are very fortunate. In some ways, we've weathered some turnover that happened, whether it's Ujiri getting dismissed or Nick Nurse getting fired, and we've kept those spots at a very high quality spot. That's why when Nick left, when we fired Nick Nurse, when we did the coaching search to get Darko, I said, this is so integral, guys, because we got to replace that coach that was kind of gaslighting us on the down low secretly to a coach that can be trusted, a guy who run through a wall for us, and a guy who's going to set a standard for him, our team as the coach, like Darko has done. Like, that's such an essential hire. And I'm glad the Raptors didn't rush it. They didn't go for a flashy name like JJ Redick or Becky Hammond. And they took the right guy for the job, because that's the kind of decisions and that's the kind of stuff that works. I often talk about the difference between sizzle and steak. You can have a very flashy big move like getting LeBron, stuff like that, but that may be sizzle and it's not actually a steak move that actually will contribute to you winning. It's the difference between Kobe Bryant and Vince Carter, Vince Carter could do a lot of fancy dunks and do all kinds of fun stuff, but he was more sizzle than actual competitive steak. And Kobe Bryant was steak. He was actually a dude who was out there going for it and winning on excellence and fundamentals. So that's what I say. A lot of these teams out there, and especially in this offseason of movement, you could look at Giannis going to Miami. That's sizzle, bro. That's not necessarily steak. LeBron to the Sixers. That's sizzle, bro. That's not necessarily steak. Now, Kawhi to the Raptors. Well, there's a proven history there. And Kawhi was healthy last year and on the second team All NBA. So, and I am a homer, and I am going to look at it in a lens that's favorable for us. But I believe that Kawhi to Toronto is a steak move and not a sizzle move like Giannis to Miami or LeBron to Philadelphia. There's differences in all this. In some ways, you can do a facade of the front and showing, oh, yeah, we're doing everything right. We're doing everything right. But if you're not really actually behind the scenes and it's hollow and it's decaying and toxic behind the scenes, it will show through even if you profess that your team is a family environment and we're doing everything right. We have culture and we're doing things right the winning way. No. People need to study the Raptors because they do it right through the whole organization as far as every employee, every scout, every trainer, every nutritionist, every strength and conditioning coach, Dr. McKechnie. They do it right straight through every personnel. It's the way that Masai built it. And in fact, it's the way he's starting to build Dallas. Clear house. Get the toxic out. Bye, Jason. Bye, Jason Kidd. Bye. Yeah, I'm going to bring in this coach from Michigan. Yeah, he's going to be the coach now. I'm going to change everybody in every department. If you ain't ready to ride with Masai and the way he sees things with his vision, you're out in Dallas. So this is the stuff that people don't talk about enough. And people can say, oh, we're this and we're that. Heat culture is very strong because Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley built it. But in some ways, they're faltering right now in different ways. They're going to try and put a quick Band-Aid over it with a sizzle move like Giannis. Listen, part of the problem with Milwaukee the last couple of years was Giannis himself. Seriously. I would question Giannis's desire as a family man and already winning a championship. How much does he really care about winning again? Seriously. I mean, Miles Turner was telling me that on Breonna Stewart's podcast that Giannis is late for practice and he's not showing up on time. He's not showing discipline. How's that going to jive with Heat culture in Miami? If Giannis has been getting special treatment the last few years in Milwaukee where he's skipping practices and showing up late, and how does that leadership show to the other people, especially in Miami, where Pat Riley is the drill sergeant and he has expectations for everybody, like Kyle Lowry to drop some weight. Yeah, we can look through all this and really think about it critically and think about where there could be some issues here. There could be some issues in different places. That's right. The vision is important, and being true to actually what you're portraying yourself as. That's important too. That is too. Fiercely saying Dominaton and Wizards sounds like a match in heaven. I thought that was a joke, and it was so funny too. I really did. I really thought that was so funny when he got traded from the Lakers to the Wizards. Seymour saying no nights off playing any Atlantic Division team. Well, Brooklyn's still Brooklyn. Brooklyn's still Brooklyn, and they're still young core. And Jordy has a lot of tall tasks against the other four Atlantic Division teams. I would say there's no easy nights for the Nets, but when we get the Nets, we should have a good time and beat their ass. Seriously. So I can't say that. There are some no nights off in general in the NBA anyway, but Brooklyn Nets are not on the same caliber as the other four Atlantic teams. They're not. And I would say the Celtics are the fourth team in the Atlantic Division at this point. The Celtics are fourth. Yeah. And the other three are the top three, actually. If we're tearing them out, really, the Raptors, the Sixers, and the Knicks are ahead and above the other two teams. Boston's after them, and then the Nets. That's the way I look at it right there. I think we are going to beat Boston this year a few times, guys. I think we're finally going to end the streak that Boston's on against us, and we're going to kick their ass this year. I really do believe that. Let's see. Seymour saying, Sandro deserves that money. Gary don't. Well, who's to say? Gary's getting paid retroactively. He's getting paid for services rendered before and not necessarily for last year. That's right. Happy birthday, Shaq Lindsay. It's not Shaq Lindsay's birthday, y'all. I don't think it is. Is it your birthday, Shaq Lindsay? That'd be cool if it is. Isaac's clowning, just so you know, Fiercey. Shaq Lindsay saying this: when you have a superstar like Luca and Reeves who only play one side of the ball, it usually doesn't bode well for the team's success. Yes, I completely agree with this, and that's why I'm not the Lakers. I haven't taken them seriously for a while. I really haven't, and even with LeBron leaving, Luka's still the same kind of player as far as he doesn't play both sides. And Charles Barkley's made it very clear. Luka, in some ways, that's part of the reason why the reasoning of Nico Harrison for trading him is kind of valid when they say he's not a two-way player and that he doesn't play defense. Yeah, we'll have to see how the Lakers are. I'm not really worried about the Western Conference. The business in the East has picked up. Yeah, Eastern Conference is getting stronger, obviously, with Leonard and LeBron coming back to the Eastern Conference. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Trevor's saying this: I'm waiting to see Raptors eliminate both the Sixers and the Knicks in the playoffs this season upcoming. Woo-wee! That would be fun to see, but I don't want to count our chickens till they hatch. In some ways, we got to take it step by step and not get ahead of ourselves. The next step is to enjoy the rest of the summer. The Raptors are all over in different places. We've got footage on Instagram last night of Scotty roller skating again. And he's like, I'm really good at roller skating. That footage of me on the street roller skating in Florida, well, it was a bad moment that y'all caught me in, but I'm actually a really good roller skater. And he's showing himself off skating around a rink. And then they show Jonathan in the background, Jonathan Mobo, holding the rail and going like this. Oh. It's hilarious, man. But yeah, Scotty's got to hang out with J-Mo as much as he can now because it is separate ways for this season, considering that Jonathan was playing Summer League for the Kings and Scotty is the franchise player for the Toronto Raptors. So yeah, that was cool to see. The Raptors are doing different things. Lots of birthday love for Jamal this week and his birthday. Very, very beloved person. A lot of people love him. We got Colin showing pictures of him fishing this week. He went back to South Carolina and he's working out. He's working really hard, but also getting recreation and getting out there and getting some fish from the ocean in South Carolina. There's lots of good stuff going on with our guys in the off season, doing what they do. RJ Barrett's probably been taking a lot of good time here in Canada around Toronto, spend time with his family and friends and train hard. Emmanuel Quickly doing his camps in Bel Air, Maryland, and also here in Canada. Scotty's camp in Vancouver went extremely well. They're doing their summer stuff. That's where we are with the Raptors right now. And well, they'll hopefully show up and maybe in Spain at the Sanctuary and be working out there as they've done the last couple of summers. In some ways, I have a theory that part of the reason why the Raptors were so tied together in the offseason the last couple of years was Garrett Temple. And I'm really hoping this doesn't change, that like Garrett being the elder statesman kind of kept them all kind of on the same page and said, hey, guys, we're going to go to Miami and we're going to have a mini camp there. Hey, guys, we're going to be in Spain. I want everybody to be there. Okay, we don't want to upset our old head Unc, G Temp. We don't want to mess. We don't mess with him. And, if he's saying us, we need to do this, we need to do this. Now, Garrett's assistant coach for the Dallas Mavericks now. And I'm hoping that the Raptors stay connected and still do a lot of offseason stuff and stay like this. They need another leader on the team that hopefully will keep everybody kind of collected. So we'll see. Hopefully we see them all together in Europe like we've had in the last couple of years, or in Miami, or in one of the hometowns of one of the players. Just we need them to be together because that's been working out really well during the offseason. And right now they're all separate and apart and all over the place, enjoying their private time and their off time in this off season. So yeah, that's where we are right now. Step by step, Trevor. You don't get ahead. There's so many things that could happen before next April. And we need to go every step of the way. And some of it is going through the rigmarole of the schedule and seeing how it affects our team. So yeah, we got all kinds of things we got to wish for. Luck and good health. That's what I would say right there. And a good schedule. A good schedule will help a lot too. We'll have to see. Yeah, let's see. Shaq Lindsay saying, give me the ball while you stay on the sidelines and watch me work on defense. But on defense, you guard my man. Talking about Luka. Well, we'll just have to see how it works. LeBron was similar, and well, he's going to take his talents to the city of brotherly love and see if he's still kind of like that. We'll have to see. Trevor's saying, I want to see Mabry drop 50 tonight. You know that that's not likely. These all-star games can be very kind of catty, or not catty. I guess the word is like, they can be safeguarded, or kind of like, you got to depend on everybody else around you wanting to feed you. If there's a story, like you say, it's one of Kobe Bryant's last all-star game. His teammates are probably going to feed him and want him to get the ball. Now, do you think the egos and the other WNBA all-stars are going to be feeding Marina Mabry to try and get 50 points, Trevor? Do you think that that's really what's going to happen? No. We just want her to go out there and make a good showing in what she gets. But her getting 50 and being the MVP, that's not likely. Think about it this way. Asia Wilson's going to be in this game, and she's the person she shares that record with, that 53-point record that she tied this year. Do you think that Asia Wilson's not going to be out there trying to drop 50 and get out there and get MVP herself? That's what I'm saying, Trevor. That her teammates aren't going to be catering to her, just like the tempo do. So Marina getting 50 tonight is not likely. If she does, I'll eat my words and I'll say Trevor was right. And I won't be upset either. I'll be very happy to see that happen. But it's not likely. Don't take that bet if you're a betting person. Don't take that bet. Shaq Lindsay saying Darko holds everyone accountable on both ends of the court. When has Redick ever played defense? Like, even when he played? No, this is true. And this is part of the prerequisite. That's why I keep saying, Raptors fans, we don't make a lot of moves because we don't screw up when we identify players and we say this is a Raptor. The Raptor has to play two-way. The Raptor has to have good hands at this point. The Raptor has to have a high IQ. The Raptor has to be a team player that will pass the ball and move the ball around in a 0.5 offense. The Raptor has to be somebody who's a dedicated person that has no problem coming to play in Canada and playing for a team that may have the harder route than other NBA teams. That's a special person. You find those type of characters, you collect them, and you put them on the team. And that's what we've been doing. And that's why our guys are different. They're built different because they have different kind of mentalities, different kind of work ethics, and different kind of ideals. Because some of the guys that come to the league want it easy. They want it easy. I made the league. I've worked so hard to get here. Now I can rest. I'm making NBA money. There's a lot of players in the league that are like this, knuckleheads, that don't have DeRozan code. And that's the thing. And that's why we don't have to switch players out all the time with trades and trying to get new draft picks over and over again. We have a few draft picks. We don't make a lot of trades because we don't fuck up in the first place. We get the right people in the first time when we cite them, like OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, Colin Murray-Boyles, and Alan Graves. And that's something that I want Raptors fans to understand, that everybody who's a trade machine enthusiasm and all that kind of shit, you love trades, go fucking follow another team, because the Raptors are not a trading team. They never have been, and they probably won't be as long as Bobby's in charge. So get over yourselves. And even Smooth, he means well. He thinks that in the power struggle of the East, now that moves have been made, oh my gosh, we're in trouble. We need to make moves just to be panicking because other people made moves. No, that's never the right move. To make moves when you're panicking, that's when you make mistakes. We need to be methodical. We need to keep the horse training guards on our eyes to forward for us and not looking at over what they're doing, because it is all about our own development and our build and our culture and what we do. And it's not about looking at what other teams are doing and going, oh no, LeBron's back. Oh no. No, we don't panic and make a knee-jerk reaction move because of that. No, we stick to our plan we've been working on already because it works. And that's something that we need to understand as Raptors fans, is this is our MO. This is the way we are. And honestly, I'd much rather be this way than the Wizards, even the Thunder. I'd much rather do it this way than the Thunder. I'd much rather do it this way than the Lakers. Think about all the different reputations of the different offices in the league. What is our reputation? It's a really good one. And we do things right. And the track record shows. So I don't get why Raptors fans get so mad that the Raptors don't make more trades and do all this stuff. Because once again, not making trades is a sign that you're successful because you didn't fuck up in the first place to make the change to have to change it. That's it. The way I look at it right there. Some people say, well, what about Jakob, Lex? What about Jakob? That's a fuck up, obviously. No, it's not. It is not a fuck up. And I'll stand on this hill every single time. The Pirtle contract is fine. People are overblowing it. And Jakob Pirtle is a top 10 center when he's healthy. And we need him. We need him. Everybody who thinks he's disposable, you're idiots. Scotty Barnes knows how important he is, and he will tell you to his face, to your face, you need to fucking respect Yak because I need Yak because he plays center, so I don't have to. It's very simple. And when your franchise player wants a player on the team, well, you listen to him, right? So yeah, and that's Scotty's very clearly a huge supporter of Pirtle and wanting him on this team. And people that support our team should be following suit with Scott. Because listen, I'm gonna say this right now. I don't know more about basketball than Scotty Barnes. I do not know more about basketball than Scotty Barnes, and none of y'all do either. So Scotty says Jakob is good for our team, and he loves Jakob, and he wants Jakob on our team. You should just fucking listen to Scott. You should just listen to Scott, Raptors fans. It's right there. Yeah. Yeah, it's not Shaq Lindsey's birthday, guys, unfortunately. But you know what? We're going to give Shaq Lindsey a big, huge dunk anyway, just because Isaac wanted to say happy birthday. Well, you know what? Shaq Lindsey's getting a big birthday dunk. I'm going to give him a 10-pointer, actually, for being a good sport. And, I'm feisty. And, I'm going to say crazy shit on this show. Shaq Lindsey, you know what? We're rounded up. You're getting 11 points at it just to get you to 69. That's right. You got 69 dunks, dunk points on the dunk chart right now. 69, my guy. There you go. There you go. He thought it was Sandra's birthday. Yeah, sometimes when I do the Share the Love Club, it's because it's a birthday. So I can understand why he was confused by that. That's an honest mistake. And it's honestly not a mistake because it could have been his birthday. Who knows? It was his birthday a couple weeks ago. It was recently. It was Sandra's birthday in the last month. Shaq Lindsey saying, I'm a fan of LeBron and Jaylen Brown for what they stand for off the court. Not a fan of Boston fan base or Sixers. Yeah, Boston fan base is to the extreme on one side. I'm with you on this. I love Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown as a human being is really awesome. I think that what he stands for, I hate the way that they've thrown all this stuff on him post Boston, like really tacky organization to try and sewer Jaylen Brown in a couple different ways with headlines and reporters and trying to say this the smartest man in the room comment and all this bullshit. That's disrespectful. This is a guy who played for your team for a decade. He helped you win a championship. He's a finals MVP for your team, and your organization, your media, and your fans are being disrespectful to him, a certain percentage of them. And I don't agree with that. And part of that is just a nasty divorce of him leaving the team. And part of that is also trying to build optics about the story about how it went about and what happened. So shame on you, Boston people that are dragging Jaylen Brown's name through the mud in the press and in different ways. Shame on you. Now, as much as I like Jaylen and that, he's on the Sixers. Fuck him. I want you to lose now, Jaylen Brown, and just as much as I wanted you to lose in Boston too. So yeah, and LeBron, it's always been the same. It's always been the same. It's always been the same. That's right. KT's here. Good morning to Dunk Champion, KT, Mr. Kareem Thomas. If LeBron fucks this up, Philly's going to chew his ass up. Okay, that's weird. He may be forced to leave and sign a one day and retire as a Cavalier. This is weird speculation. First of all, how much is this realistic? First of all right. All right. Let's think about what Kareem's saying here. He thinks that LeBron's going to fuck this up and Sixers fans will turn on him and come after him in certain ways. That could very well happen. I won't lie. That could very well happen. The reverse Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that LeBron just did, which really is what it is. It's a good descriptor, right? The reverse Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Yeah, because he left LA to go to Philly. Okay, Will Smith. It's going to be interesting. We'll see how much of a circus and how many rings Ringmaster Nick Nurse is going to have with his new circus in town with LeBron around. And we'll just have to see how the dysfunction and the story of the Sixers this year will unfold and see how it comes out. and see where the gripes for run it back Philly and the Philadelphia nation come from. I don't disagree with you that there's a lot of opportunities, landmines of folly for the Sixers to fall into with their super team. And it's too good to be true because it is too good to be true. It is too good to be true, Philadelphia fans. You know it is. You know deep in your heart. You've had these kind of lineups coming into seasons, and you felt like, oh my gosh, we're going to be so good this year. We're definitely winning the championship. Just to see the horror show of the season unfold, and you get exactly what you always get: failure, sadness, and misery. So we'll just have to see the latest edition of this year with LeBron James in the middle of it, Kareem. I won't say for sure it's going to happen because there is a chance that they are functional and they do very, very well. But I do also think it's very unlikely they'll get all the way to the championship because, once again, Big Dummy's in the way. Big Dummy will get in their way as long as he's on their team. So maybe there is a trade for Anthony Davis. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. KT saying this: Gary, Precious, Mamu, OG, Pascal, Freddie. The Raptors is like Santa Claus of the NBA. We just give away presents. We are like the Kentucky Wildcats. We are a player development team. You know, I hate this comment. In fact, I want to give you a strike because that's an insult to our team. That's not what we are. And the way you're spinning this sounds so fucking wrong, honestly. This is wrong. Listen, once again, Raptors fans, understand this. The players get paid for contracts for years that they're on our team. If they get a higher contract and they go somewhere else to get paid, like Freddie did to Houston, whatever. We get paid for services rendered while they're on our team. They don't stay on our team forever. In fact, it's very smart to raise value in players and get them on the way up on the rocket ship than when they've already kind of hit their top. And that's part of the reason why we let Pascal, Fred, and OG go, because they hit their top and they were about to get paid the big money because they hit their top. We got all the value in their development years coming up and making their leaps and doing this. That's smart. We can't hold all of them at their highest price. So we're not necessarily a development team for the rest of the league. In fact, I would say this: we're a team that develops players very well, and we pick and choose who we want to hold on to. And we get the premium choice of who we want to hold on to. I don't have anything against those guys that left to make room for Scotty to be a franchise player. They're all amazing dudes, and they're very much beloved Raptors of the past. But this whole idea that we can just have a blank check to write and have all the players just stay on our team, well, this is immature little kid kind of shit that think, oh, we just should have all the players on our team forever, Vince Carter would still be on our team if I could. He's retired for fucking 6 years. Like, what the fuck? I would have Vince Carter on our team still right now if I was the GM. Motherfucker, you got to let people go. Everybody has a certain time period with us. They get their time, they develop, we figure them out, we get value from them, we achieve, we won a championship with them. We're not just a straight up development team because we actually achieve and we actually do make some noise. And we can get back to a second Larry O'Brien. So this is insulting to our team, Kareem Thomas. Change your fucking mindset about this because the way you're slanting this is just insulting to our own team. And this is honestly putting it down. Because we are not a development team for the rest of the NBA. We're a development team for ourselves. And we pick the ones we want to keep, like Colin and Scotty. And the other ones that get their value up, well, they go on to other pastures or we trade them and we get value for them. There's different things. We can't keep everybody, you little kids, your nephews. I wanted this person on our team. Well, we don't fucking have $10 billion to spend on the salary cap. In fact, that's not allowed. It's only $209 million. We can spend. You can't have $10 billion to just sign every fucking person. If you had your way, we'd have Kevin Durant, Giannis, and LeBron, and Kawhi on our team. But y'all are nephews and immature and stupid is what it is. Because that's dumb talk. We gotta keep the value in young players as they're coming up and get the value out of them. And then when their price is high, well, we don't want to pay you exactly that unless you're Scotty Barnes. I mean, this is how it works here, right? This is how it works. We're not Santa Claus. Don't say this insulting shit, is what I would say. Paul B is saying this. I loved watching Mamu and Shed's chemistry growing throughout the season. Mamu was definitely the best bench piece since Norman and Van Vliet. That's an interesting opinion. That's an interesting opinion. I don't know if I'll totally agree with it, but they were all very great. The chemistry between Shed and Mamu was fantastic for sure. But he had good chemistry with a couple of different people on our team. But yeah, good to see you, Paul. I hope you're doing very well. He's stateside in Wisconsin. So happy day to Paul B, longtime Raptor freak, and over on the States and holding it down for us in Wisconsin. That's right. Shaq Lindsay saying his favorite number is 69. There you go. There you go. I could keep you there if you want. Just don't get any more dunks. Seymour saying this: the only banned number in the league. What's the only banned number? What is it? 69. Nobody's allowed to wear that number. Yeah, I think that Rodman wanted to wear it at one point during his career, from what I heard, and they wouldn't let him wear it. So he had to wear 91. I think that was when he was on Dallas, because he was 10 for Detroit, and then he had to wear 91 because 10 was retired, and some of the teams he was on. So it was 9 plus 1 to make 10. Yeah, I think Rodman was one of those dudes that actually requested 69, and they told him no, you can't wear 69. Shaq Lindsay's saying I wore that number to bed. Okay, then TMI maybe. I tell my wife I'm doing full court pressure on her tonight. 69. All right. This is funny. This is funny. This is funny. So I'm gonna give. Oh, actually, I'll mess it up if I do that. Should I do that? Yeah, I'll do it. All right, we're gonna get off this number right here. Maybe bad choice of words. 72 for Shaq Lindsay. 72, because he did make me laugh with that one. It's pretty funny. This is like graduate level dick jokes here. This is actually very high level sex jokes. They're actually really good. These are good ones. This isn't low hanging fruit like a lot of the dick jokes y'all made while Grady was on our team. This is actually really well built in this. He said, I wore that number to bed. I tell my wife I'm doing full court pressure on her tonight. 69. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. All right, moving on. This is still a family time of the day. Come on now. Shaq Lizzie said the Cavs burned his jersey when he left and went to Miami, but bought new ones when he came back, and now they're burning them again. Man, if LeBron is cool like Kyle, he will come back to Cleveland and do the one-day thing that Kareem was joking about earlier. I think that that's the right thing to do. He had 2 different stints with Cleveland. He ended the drought of them never winning a championship in his second stint. There's so much history there. In some ways, it's the right thing to do. So if LeBron plays 2 years with the Sixers and then he comes back and signs a one-day contract with the Cavs and retires as a Cavalier, that's the right thing to do. I think that's the right thing to do. Not Miami, not the Lakers. Don't retire as a Sixer. Get that one-day retirement with the Cavaliers, Cleveland, and go home, LeBron. Go home. Seriously. I can see him doing that. But yeah, Cavs fans, they have such a weird relationship with LeBron James. They really do. And I'll bet you that they were upset about what happened, man. I'll bet Kareem's saying this. I meant it as a franchise we do good, nothing negative. We were talking about family and the well-oiled machine we are. I'm not mad that they're gone. I'm happy they're thriving. That's a testament to who we are. I think it's in some ways, to me, and maybe it is lost in translation through text and not through words and coming out of your mouth. It's the tone of it. It's so negative towards our team. And it echoes some of the stuff that people have said that's very negative, that the Raptors are a farm team for the rest of the NBA, and that players are supposed to develop here but not stay here to win. They're supposed to be picked off by other teams to go to other places and do other things. In some ways, that's the attitude some people have about OG. In some ways, that may be something that some people think about with Siakam in Indiana. But I wouldn't say that. I mean, Siakam won a championship with us. He has not won a championship with Indiana. So where is actually the development team happening? Seriously, that's what I would look at it that way. The other people in the league want this situation with us, and I don't want this. The other people in the league may want the Raptors to be a farm team for the rest of the league, but we're not. We're a farm team for ourselves, and we pick and choose who we pick and we want to have and stay here. I think that just rubbed me the wrong way. In some ways, it's like it's language building. It's how you write things. It's as simple as just like Sandy misspeaking and saying, is she a protected species? That's just bad, poor wording. In some ways, your brain will set up how you say things. And, Manuel Quickly and Jacoby Walter would tell you, don't speak ill will of yourself ever. Some people walk around and say, man, I'm such a dummy. Man, I'm an idiot. Don't ever say shit like that, is what Emmanuel would say. You speak your own truth when you say things. So speak your excellence, speak your greatness. Don't speak yourself down. So in some ways, I feel like sometimes the mindset that comes out of Kareem is negative, and the wording is very negative. And in some ways, it starts with the mindset inside that comes out with the words coming out in a negative way. So listen to your own speak to yourself, whether it's your inner voice in your head or what you may say to yourself. And if you're putting yourself down unnecessarily or have a really negative connotations in anything you're talking about, change it, flip it. When I was younger and I was an alcoholic, active, and I drank a lot, I had a very negative mindset that fed a lot of negative views about myself that held me back. And I didn't realize how much I was holding myself back from having that negative mindset. So it really is important. And this is why the top professionals in the NBA are like no bad vibes, positive vibes only. And if you have something to say about yourself, speak yourself up and don't put yourself down. That's it right there. That's it right there. Trevor's saying, yesterday I saw the most funny thing to dogs and owners fighting each other side by side. Yeah, I don't like that. That's violence. And nobody needs to be fighting in this world. We need more peace, love, and understanding. And violent videos that get shown online, they're to desensitize us in fucked up ways for things that aren't good. So yeah, any kind of little video of people fighting, that's awful. I don't like hearing about that. I don't like hearing about that. You enjoy that, Trevor? I don't enjoy people fighting. That's sad. There's enough violence and fighting in this world, and those people need to chill. And seriously, the dog only follows the master, and it's not cute when dogs are fighting also. Dog fighting is horrible. Ask Michael Vick. Yeah, ask Michael Vick. Dog fighting is horrible. Paul B saying this. Lex, who would you say was the most productive bench player since Tampa? Because Mamu and Lou Williams come to mind when I think of favorite bench pieces throughout the course of my fandom. This is a good question. It's kind of piggybacking off what you said, that you feel like Mamu was our best bench player since in the recent years. And I mean, I won't disagree with you. He's one of our better ones. Let me really think about things. I can't put Precious in there. I mean, I would say Colin was pretty dang good as a bench player this year for us. Colin. But of course, it's just his rookie year, and it's just scratching the surface. And there was a lot of starting for him because I would say Colin's better than Mamu, right? So I might go there first. If Gary was more consistent, maybe Gary. But you're right. You're right. There's not many that are around there at that point and like that. Yeah. 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 There's not many like that. There's not many like Mamu. So you know what? I'll say, yeah, Mamu's probably definitely one of the top 3 in recent years for sure. But you could probably fudge things and figure something out and be like, oh, wait, you forgot about this guy. And this guy's actually was really super important to us off the bench. I mean, Boucher's in the conversation, right? To an extent. Chris Boucher, maybe. Stargate's here. He's saying, I'm late. I guess I missed Lex's take on the LeBron move. I've talked about it way more than I wanted to, partly because of the comments. I wanted to just talk about it for a second, but it kind of got dragged out a little bit. But it's LeBron. It's going to happen. I mentioned you. I brought up you going to report about the Philadelphia fans and how they're feeling. So I did talk about what you said in the Discord. But otherwise, if you really want to hear what I have to say about it in depth, there's a big part of the stream that talks about it. Yeah. Yeah. Colin Seymour saying CMB's best bench player. Gary is not in the conversation. Gary was switching between bench and starting, so it's kind of not totally clear whether he would be designated as exactly a bench player. But yeah, also not consistent enough. Not consistent enough. All right, let me keep going with my tabs real quick. We're going to do the Raptors Redder of the day. And it's Squeaky Boy 81. And they've got the power rankings after LeBron's decision. And it's kind of what Trevor was talking about earlier, that things have shifted a bit. And now USA Today has us in a 4-way tie for 7th. Yeah. I don't think that that's too horrible. In some ways, the deal hasn't totally gone through yet. In some ways, like I said earlier, they'll probably adjust the power rankings when the deal is official, even more so. Some of them are begrudgingly holding it back because they don't want to truly believe Kawhi Leonard is going to be a Raptor this year. When it officially happens, then there'll be more power rankings to come out, and that may reflect this more. Right now, the new power ranking that came out yesterday is reflecting LeBron. But when the move comes in, even though some people are already changing their power rankings to reflect Kawhi on our team, some people have not done that yet. And that could change it. But I would say anybody who's ranking the Raptors in the top 10 is being fair because there is a level of outcome depending on injury and all kinds of other stuff that could put us in different places. And, we're always pie in the sky. We're going to think, yeah, number one in the East. We're going to get the championship. But we have to see once again, every season is a journey. And along that journey, there's ups and downs. There's different things, obstacles, and there's maybe great success too. And we just got to take it step by step, one day at a time, every single day. You can't do it all in just one day. We can't just be like, oh, we're going to be there. We're going to be there. No, we have to see the ride. We have to see the journey and the bumps in the road and how we handle them and how we perform. That's it right there. So thank you to Squeaky Boy 81 for bringing out the power rankings after LeBron's decision. We dropped from 3rd to 7th is basically what they're saying right there. Yeah, let's see. Let me check in my HD real quick. We've jumped to a new gate, guys, and it's the gate of influence. Gate of influence is the law of friction, whether active or passive, that engenders transference and thus influence, the natural expression of leadership. So right now there's a lot of leadership energy right now. But the thing about leadership is that it has to be for the people. And I think this is the biggest problem right now is there's leadership out there that's very powerful that is not for the people as a whole, but for a very small group of people. And this is a gate that's very powerful with this energy. Very, very powerful. We're in the line 1 of it, the very first day of it, and it's manifestation. Manifestation is our word for today, that influence cannot exist in a vacuum. The detriment of manifestation is the absorption of light that in darkness can only promise manifestation, the unnatural expression of leadership, which is what I would call the current US government. It's an unnatural expression of leadership. It's not leadership that is doing the will of the people. It's leadership doing the will of the very rich, and that's it. And well, this is what happens in this kind of stuff. The influence of our vision for society will not be transferred or felt without the collective's energy moving it into the public realm. Our leadership must take into account the desires of our followers and address the good of the whole. I lead means influencing others for good or for ill, effectively transferring our vision for a new and testworthy pattern to them to carry out. Without the presence of gate 7, which is a gate in the voice box that connects to the self, we may seem like just an empty voice. And I think that's what's happening with some of the leadership around the world right now that is not really for the people. You need people to represent the people to be in charge. That's right. The sun does not cancel or cannot hold back its light, and thus its influence on every life, the natural expression of leadership. So yeah, there's a lot of themes of leadership, being an authentic leader and a leader for the people in the next 6 days. And today, the word of the day is manifestation. So yeah, just a little check in with that real quick for a second there. Let's see what else you guys are saying here right now. Trevor J saying this was not a video, this real in person in the grocery store parking lot. Yeah, that's horrible. That's what I'm saying, Trevor. Fighting between people, any kind of fight videos that are put online that people enjoy to watch that are just violence and unnecessary, senseless violence, those aren't entertaining to me. Those are sad. In some ways, you're exploiting people that are very upset with each other and fighting each other, and you have no idea why they're fighting each other. They could be fighting each other because they're doing very poorly in their lives as far as they don't have resources like food on their table, and they're all hungry and pissed off because of that. Any enjoyment from conflict or violent fights or people getting punched out, that is not my thing. And I denounce it. And honestly, I don't really like having friends that enjoy violent videos that make them enjoy this. Whether this is just people in a parking lot, whether it's whatever it is, people coming into a Taco Bell and attacking the employees like the Knicks fans did during the playoffs, shit like that. I don't enjoy that. I think that it's barbaric. I think it's part of what's dragging down desensitization of people to violence. And honestly, violence can beget violence. You normalize violence in your entertainment. Some people are more accepting of violence being around them in their lives. And we don't want that in this world. That's the last thing we want is violence, right? You want violence in your life, Trevor? You want to be fighting people in the streets because the world is disintegrating into chaos because of poor leadership and a surveillance state and all kinds of fucked up shit happening? We're this close anyway. So you go ahead and enjoy your little violent videos of people fighting and their dogs fighting too and think that's funny. That shit could be your everyday scenery in the scenes on the streets in the very near future, and it won't be fucking funny then. I'll say that right there. Yeah. Shaq Lindsay's saying they said the same thing about Tampa being a farm team in baseball. Well, how does that look now? I have no idea. Is Tampa the farm team for baseball? Baseball is a totally different thing with no salary cap. That's what I say right there. Stargate saying, I predict a shit show in Philly. I give it all until All-Star break before the fans start calling for blowing it up. Well, they're already saying it, like you said. Like some of the fans are rejecting LeBron coming. They don't even want him there right from the start. And that's part of, in some ways, the toxic dysfunction of the Philly fans already. They're varied and they have a lot of opinions. And some of them are very diehard and they have a very, very specific vision for the Sixers. And LeBron James joining their team was not in that vision. Is not in that vision, is what we're finding out, right, Stargate? From what your intel is, because you went and checked on them, right? You wanted to go see if Sixers Nation was feeling all right. And well, you found out some things, right? You found out some things about it right there. Yeah. All right, let's see. What do I have in my tab still? We did that birthday. It's Tracy Murray's birthday. Let's see. Yeah, you know what? Let's talk a little bit more about Sandro real quick, right at the end here. We're at 2.5 hours. I'll probably be finished up in a sec. Man, like I said, Sandro is one of these guys that's an underdog. In some ways, he's a dude that was just kind of unassuming and not aggressive, just kind of a nice guy. And he's had to learn to be aggressive in his professional career beyond his natural level of aggression because he's a very gentle giant. He's a very sweet dude. In some ways, he doesn't have a mean bone in his body. So he has to kind of amp himself up to get more competitive in some ways that aren't totally natural to his personality. So I love that about him. In some ways, it's hard to make the NBA. And it's kind of weird when sometimes when your personality being such a nice guy can get in the way of being in the NBA. But he's overcome it. And in some ways, he's found the right kind of energy and the right kind of encouragement and tutelage from the right people like Coach Darko to blossom into a more aggressive NBA player that has expanded his role and gotten a bigger paycheck in LA. So I can't hate on any of that. It's another Raptors success story. In some ways, Brandon's one too from this last year, where Brandon wasn't sure about coming back from injury. And boy, the Raptors helped him get back to all-star form. Sandro got to a rotation form. He was never fully a rotation player until this year. And well, we got him rotation ready, and boom, he's getting paid by the Lakers now. So this is a success story. Whether people look at these things as farm team or we're developing people, no. We pay people for their contract. They give us services rendered. And when the contract's done, well, either we re-up them and keep them in the fold or they move on. That's just a natural thing in the NBA. And once again, I'll tell all the immature fans that think we can just collect people and they just all stay on the bus with us. That's not how it works. We only have a certain amount of roster spots. And in some ways, Bobby's job is to turn over the roster and work through the roster, but keep the really solid, important pieces to improve the team to get closer to the second Larry O'Brien championship. That's the job right there. That's the job right there. That's right. That's right. Shaq Lindsay saying Doug Ford suffered a loss. No airport. Yahoo. That's fantastic. This is something to celebrate. In some ways, the way that Trump is moving, like he has no accountability. He doesn't have to follow laws. He breaks rules and then he asks for apologies later, or he just like, oh no, I just did it. I destroyed the White House and I didn't go through the proper channels. Doug Ford did that with Ontario Place. He destroyed Ontario Place without going through the proper channels. And I start worrying about him just running roughshod over the will of the people. In some ways, this is the energy I was talking about with the HD just now, the human design. Doug Ford is not representing the people of Ontario correctly. The energy of our people is against what he wants, and he wants to do things for fat cats and real estate developers and his friends and sweetheart deals. Well, if this is true, what Shaq Lindsay's saying, that Doug Ford has suffered a loss and the airport will not be expanded, thank God, because it was such a horrible idea. In some ways, it smacks of very rich people just wanting another airport to come in there. There's all kinds of different ways I read it. I looked at it as a nefarious thing where there's a bigger airport down by the lake in the downtown core. That's more dangerous. Did we not learn anything from 9/11 and planes crashing into skyscrapers? Because all Toronto is right now is condos going up like crazy. And why the fuck would you increase the downtown airport on an island to carry the biggest jets when you're fucking just waiting for an air traffic disaster? And why would you do this with a contract with a big, huge mega corporation from the United States, JP Morgan, trying to finance this and do this? It was shady as fuck. All kinds of back deals. And not to mention the environmental costs of expanding the runway, the extra pollution, the noise for the people living on the island, the noise for the people living downtown, the extra health concerns of the problems that airport would have caused for downtown Toronto people. Yeah, fuck all that. That is not good for anybody except for really rich people that want to fly in on a stupid plane there, or some fat cat that has a contract that Doug Ford wanted to make rich, or some other shit. If this shit is dead in the water as of today, this is a huge victory for the people of downtown Toronto, because this shit should have never even been in the works or even threatened or pushed towards people. So yeah, fuck you, Doug Ford. I'm glad you're losing out on Billy Bishop expansion, you fucking piece of shit. You need to fucking be in jail just like Donald Trump. You criminal ass politicians that run fucking things for your own wallet instead of the will of the people that you represent. So yeah, I'm glad that in some ways there's a checks and balances here. Was it Carney? Did Carney come and say, fuck you, Ford, you're not building a bigger airport at Billy Bishop? Because that would have been the right thing right there. The prime minister should have saved us and said, no. Olivia Chow, what can you do about this? Can you tell Ford to fuck off with his airport ideas? I'm just saying, this dumbass wants to build a tunnel underneath the 401. He should be investing in more mass transit solutions, maybe high-speed rail. But this motherfucker wants to build a tunnel where people will drive millions miles underground, underneath other cars, and all kinds of stupid shit with pollution. And fuck, that's not going to make the commute better. Going on a tunnel underneath the ground, it's going to be more depressing for all the fucks that can't work from home, that have to drive every day in a stupid ass ritual in the GTA on the road, wasting so much time and energy in their fucking cars just because somebody mandated they had to come back to work. Yeah, we are not working with sensibility, but at least today we found out Billy Bishop expansion is dead. Thank God. I want to go look at this to make sure, man. I say that right there. I say that right there. Trevor J saying, Lex, I do not stand for violence, but it was fun to see the dogs fighting too. Dog fighting is a very serious problem, and there's nothing fun about it. Dogs can easily kill each other. You want to hear a little story about dogs real quick, Trevor? I'll tell you a Tallahassee story, Florida man story. I used to work for DHL when I was in Florida. One of the stints when I lived down there, I delivered parcels. I had a route that was a rural route that went south of Tallahassee into Wakulla County. Wakulla County is a very backwards county of a lot of good Southern old people that some of them are KKK, some of them are very racist and fucked up. And I'd go into the country and deliver packages to people's yards that have no trespassing signs. You will be shot on sight, and we have dogs in our yard. That's a hard job to do. Mailman is tough just in a regular city with dogs that could bite you or attack you. That shit is not just jokes. That's real. I've had a Chihuahua bite me while I was doing that job, and it hurt. It was a little Chihuahua. But I'm just saying, I used to have to go into yards that had signs that said vicious dogs will attack you if you come in my property. How the fuck am I supposed to deliver their packages? Seriously. Well, one day I was in Wakulla, and I was just a little bit north of the famous Wakulla Springs, where they filmed the creature from the Black Lagoon in the 1930s and Tarzan movies with Johnny Weissmuller. And I was sitting outside a house I had to deliver to, and I saw a very strange scene. I saw a girl in a wheelchair who was disabled sitting in a wheelchair in a yard with some German shepherds, her pets. And then I saw two pit bulls coming down the street. They were loose and just loose. And I knew not to get out of the fucking truck when the pit bulls were walking down the street, because I know what those motherfuckers are like. Yeah, pit bulls are in some ways not the best breed to have in your house. That dog will turn on your baby and eat it in a minute. I would never have pit bulls myself. So the pit bulls are going down the street and they're loose. Their owner is obviously irresponsible, and they're just walking around in this rural neighborhood. And there's a girl out in her front yard in a wheelchair by herself with her dogs. She has two German Shepherd dogs. Those pit bulls wanted to attack that girl, and they came at her. And I saw those pit bulls fighting with the German Shepherds. It was dog fighting, and it was not pretty. It's not something I wanted to watch. There was blood and guts, and some of those dogs might have probably died after that fight. It was gross. I sat in the truck in horror and watched those four dogs go at it with each other. And they weren't even on top of each other. They did it through a fence. The fence had big holes, and they were getting their snouts in at each other, ripping at each other's necks. It was the most brutal, animalistic shit I've seen in some ways in my life. Blood squirting all over the place, and that poor girl in horror watching her dogs fight. Well, you want to know who won that fucking fight? The German Shepherds. They ripped the jugular out of those fucking pit bulls to protect that girl, and probably one of those pit bulls died that day. And rightfully so, because that dumbass owner did not take care of his dogs, and they were dangerous. And they could have jumped that fence and got that girl in that wheelchair. That was one of the most brutal things I've ever seen in my fucking life. I did not enjoy a single moment of it. And I had to wait a little while before I could get out the truck with that package to deliver it. So I say, man, look, you want to enjoy dog fighting and think it's funny when dogs are fighting each other? If they weren't really going for the jugular like those dogs were that I saw that day, I can understand where it's cute. Maybe there's a little toy dog and a pug fighting each other or something like that. But still, the whole message is that, Trevor, is what I'll say. Violence is violence, and violence is not good for the world. Violence begets violence, and enjoying or celebrating violence is not good in my book. That's what I would say right there. That's why I'm not a UFC fan either. I do not support the UFC in the least. That's right. Sorry, Jer, I don't want to go off on you. In some ways, this is a fun chance for me to tell another Florida man story about some of my experiences in life. Thank God that girl was not hurt in that wheelchair, because she could have been ripped up if those other dogs were not out there with her. Seriously. And those German Shepherds were badasses. I'm not going to lie. They protected the hell out of her. They really did. It's the craziest scene I've ever seen in some ways, man. It's very violent. Stargate saying this, the Philly fan base is split about it. Some are liking it, but a lot are saying it's too many people who need the ball. Three-way ISO type players. Let's see how Nick uses them. Nick's got to be enjoying this. It was a birthday present. It was Nick's birthday the day they acquired LeBron just now. It's like, happy birthday, Coach Nurse. You have LeBron James on your team now. Seriously, it's crazy. But it's true. There's only one ball. And how will this interaction happen with Brown, Maxey, James, and Embiid? How will this work? How will this hold back people like Edgecombe? How will this do? What will this be? Seriously. And will Nick hold true to his coaching style of overplaying his starters and running into the ground over the season so that they don't have nothing for the playoffs? We'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. Shaq Lindsay saying LeBron is overhyped. James Harden, good luck, Sixers. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. In some ways, I look at it as an opportunity. Once again, I had a feeling LeBron was coming back to the East. And, well, the Raptors get a chance to make up for some things that happened with him while he was still in the East on Cleveland. Yeah, let's get our chance at the end of the year somehow, some way in the playoff seeding and play. I would love to play Philadelphia this year. I know y'all would too. I'm not scared of that smoke. No, I am not. That's right. Stargate saying, I don't think those players are a good fit. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. I mean, Maxey's going to cater to those guys. He's going to lose production. That's going to be the first thing I'll predict. Tyrese Maxey's been so leaned on heavily by the Sixers for a couple years with injuries and being the most healthy Sixer out there all the time, that Maxey's had to average almost 40 points per game a lot of time for the Sixers. That won't happen now. Brown's going to take his piece of the pie away from Maxey. And LeBron, I don't even know what LeBron's going to do. LeBron could average 8 points and eight and 6 rebounds and 5 assists, and that would be his line for this year. Who knows? LeBron could be very much subdued and not a very powerful offensive player for them. He could be the all-round guy who's kind of the glue guy in the middle of it all. I think that could work that way. Yeah, Mr. Greg saying, I would not be surprised if Nick plays them to death, as it is his custom to overplay players until they are injured or otherwise. Yes, that's why it's such a fun thing to watch him coach Joel, because that is such a precarious situation. It's literally like something that when we watch them play when I watch them play the Raptors, I'm always like, Nick, you're really going to push it, aren't you? Oh, I'll bet you squeeze every little drop of juice out of the orange that Joel Embiid is as far as his knee. Oh man, yeah, Mr. Greg, this is definitely something that we criticized Nick about in the last few years of him coaching the Raptors on this channel. I talked about this, him overplaying people in the starters and not developing the bench enough by giving time to the younger guys on the team. Well, his pattern's gotten a little bit better in the last couple years because he has to, because of Joel. But we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see how this goes. And it's not like LeBron could, be perfect. He might get injured too this year at times too. It possibly. We'll have to see. Stargate saying, personally, I think they should expand the airport in Hamilton, if anything. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know why they need to do this. Isn't Pearson working? Isn't Pearson fine? What is this? Is because people want to get right downtown right away and not have to commute on either the subway or the GO train or the limo taxi or whatever the fuck. I mean, I don't get this shit. Is it that inconvenient, rich people, that you really have to fucking put something down there and ruin everybody's life downtown? It's just short-sightedness. A lot of this shit is short-sightedness. Climate change is happening and people want to continue with fossil fuels. Short-sightedness. Short-sightedness. All right, let's get that card. Let's get that card. Yeah, we're getting close to Lexathon here. We got so much love to share for Sandro. We're going to go 3 hours. That's right. That's right. All right, who is this? Didn't we just do this card yesterday? Why can't I read that? Oh, no way. All right, let me get a different card. I think that is the same card. Okay, yeah, we'll do this one. This one's good. All right, full name answer. This is a team that's not around right now, but it might be back soon. All right, here we go. Full name answer on classic card of the day. Looks like a sad Bill Simmons sitting behind him there. I don't know. He's like, oh, he's sad. If you guys guess, I'll give you a clue. Yeah, who is this former Seattle Supersonic sitting on the bench here? Who is that? That's right. Tim Hardaway? No, it's not a point guard. This is a center. This guy is the opposite size. This guy's 7 foot. Tim Hardaway is like 6 foot. So I would say his initials are the same letter. If that's a clue. Benoit Benjamin. That's it. Yep, he got it. That is Benoit Benjamin. Good job, Stargate. He knows his classic cards. That's right. Benoit Benjamin before the Clippers. I know after the Clippers. Clippers and then Sonics. He just came to the Sonics there. Yeah, that's a good one. 150 for Stargate today on the classic card. That's another one of those very old players that gets forgotten, but somewhat remembered. So 150 for Stargate. And it looks like he's gotten a classic card or few in the recent time. No, wait, it's been a little bit. He got Calbert Chaney last. Okay, yeah. So Benoit Benjamin is the card of the day, and it'll be 150 points for Stargate on the classic card. Good job, man. Yeah, the classic, the trivia standings right now are very competitive, guys. We've got everybody's very close. So even this, like I'll tell you right now, Stargate getting this point card because Stargate's in the top 3 right now. This may be putting you very close to the top. Let me just go look, and I'll tell you guys exactly where you're at. Oh, wow. Yeah, you just passed Fiercey. Okay, so Slug Deezy's number 1 right now. He's at 1,800, and Stargate's at 1,650. So you're only 150 points behind the lead, Stargate, right now. So you may want to keep on it. Fiercey's at 1,600 herself. So 1,800 for Slug Deezy, Stargate 1,650, Fiercey 1,600, and then Seymour's 4th at 1,250, and Kene is 900. And those are the top 5 in the Raptor Freak trivia right now, right there. Yeah, Stargate, you're in 2nd, so keep going. Fiercey, you're in 3rd, and Slug Deezy's number 1. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching the Share the Love Club. For Sando Mamukelashvili, au revoir, Sandro. You will always be loved in Canada. We appreciate your year here with our team. And, it's too bad it couldn't be longer. Who knows? Maybe down the road at some point in your career, you circle back and you get a second stint with us. That's not unheard of. It's probably not likely, but it could happen. Who knows? We're in good standing with you. You're in good standing with us. And like I said, a one and done Raptor. There's been many throughout the years, like Mike James, Danny Green, Bismack Biyombo, Kawhi Leonard until now. And, you make an impression. You have a very good 1 year with us. Well, Brandon Ingram, you're remembered forever. And Sandro, you're always going to be a Raptors alumni for playing for us this past year. And I appreciate who you are. I appreciate meeting your best friend, Alessandro, this season and becoming friends with him. And as I said to Alessandro, you guys are always welcome up in Toronto. Raptors fans will open arms for you guys. And when you guys come through with the Lakers, look me up and we'll have to hang out, Alessandro. Yeah. Yeah. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'm going to be reacting to the All-Star game tonight for the WNBA. So tomorrow, a reaction stream to the WNBA All-Star game. If Marina had won last night, I would have done a celebration stream for her today. But alas, I had to pivot and I said, you know what? You got to do that Sandro Share the Love Club. And that's why I did it this way. So yeah. All right, y'all. Watch the CEBL. The Canadian Elite Basketball League action is amping up to finish the season strong. And the games are so competitive and crazy right now. If you want to see players playing all out to try and win right now, Canadian Elite Basketball League is the place. And tonight there's a couple games, so check them out. Check them out. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Let's go Tempo. And let's go Raptors too. Let's go Marina. Let's get a good showing tonight for the Tempo in Canada and yourself in the All-Star game tonight. We love you, Marina Mabry. All-Star Mabry. Let's go, Chef. Let's get it done tonight and make a good look for our team in the first ever Toronto Tempo All-Star in the WNBA. Let's go Canada. How about that? Yeah, let's go Canada.